What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto is turned into a child and is watched by Rookie 9? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. Ramen the best food in the world, or so Naruto thought. Finally, after 2 months gone on mission, he was back and it was time to head to his favorite place in all of Konoha, the Ichiraku Ramen Hut. That was when he was grabbed from behind. They placed a bag over his head and injected with 2 potions. He felt heavy, his arms and legs wouldn't move and his head began to hurt. Now we shall have the glory of claiming the power of Kyuubi. The Akatsuki will be begging us to join them. Unhand Naruto-kun, I shall never allow you to take such a promising youth. Lee ran towards the enemy ninjas. Tenten grabbed Naruto, Lee and I will take down the kidnappers. Hi. Tenten rushed toward the ninja holding the blonde as Neji, and Lee took down the kidnappers. There was a brief battle and Tenten retrieved the Kyuubi container. When the dust has cleared and the enemy was tied up, the real panic began. Neji, we've got a problem, we need to get him to Hokage-sama. What's wrong with Naruto-kun? Lee rushed over to his fellow ninja only to have his eyes widen in shock. Lee, call for backup and tell them to take these guys away. I'll call Rookie 9, they're going to want to know about this. Tenten, take Naruto and we'll meet you at the Hokage's office. Hi. Lee and Tenten agreed. This was more than they could handle. Hokage-sama, what the big emergency? Asked Sakura, and she kept close. Lee, the pink-haired kunoichi, gave up long ago on the Uchiha heir and decided to date someone who actually cared about her. There was an attempted kidnapping on Naruto today which was stopped by Team Guy. Unfortunately, they had already injected him with 2 potions. One was a sedation potion which should be wearing off soon. The other potion is a bit more complicated. What do you mean by complicated? Shikamaru asked with sudden alertness. Next to Choji, Naruto was his best friend. No matter how many times he tried to ignore the ball of sunshine, happiness and hope, Naruto still was able to wedge his way into the lazy nin's life. Then again, the same could be said for everyone in the room. There was something about the Kyuubi container that drew you to him. He had the heart the size of the world and the compassion of a saint and the mind that could challenge even the greatest of minds, even though he played the fool for the village's peace of mind. Well, it has changed his appearance a bit. Tsunade waved Tenten forward. The weapons mistress stepped up to the others carrying a small bundle of what looked like Naruto's clothes in her arms. He was turned into a 5-year-old child. He's starting to wake, Tenten said softly as the bundle in her arms began to move. Slowly, a bright as the sun blonde head began to wiggle its way out of the confines. The weapons mistress shifted her grip as not to drop the waking child. A little hand rubbed the sleep from tired eyes and everyone stood still. They watched in awe as ocean blue eyes opened wide in fright. Naruto, it's all right, don't be frightened. Soe, why are you sorry? You have done nothing wrong. When I'm bad they send me you. I'm bad a what? Who sends you? Tsunade asked as Naruto's past slowly revealed itself. Vivayers. Everyone in the room stiffened. They knew that the villages disliked Naruto, but they didn't think they would scorn a child like this. You have nothing to fear, Naruto. You're here because your friends were worried about you. I don't hate fruins. Everyone hates me. Can I go now? I have to go to work. What do you mean by go to work? Naruto? Asked Sakura, who was trying to hold back her tears of hurt. Naruto didn't remember her or the adventures they shared. She was also saddened by the fact that she was so self-absorbed she never saw past her own obsession with Sasuke, that she never truly saw Naruto. I weed the garden at Hyuga-sama's house. I pick wild flowers for Yamanaka-san. I water Akamichi-sama's garden. I clean out the puppy pens for Inosuke-san. I run to the library for Nawa-sama and I make jars for Abuwame-sama to catch bugs. Naruto smiled brightly while puffing his chest out with pride. To say Rookie 9 and Team Guy was shocked would be saying that their Hokage had a slight gambling problem. Naruto had been working since the age of 5 and not just little things. They all began searching their memories for Naruto at age 5. Shikamaru knew his father was not a light reader. He would read tomes and giant scrolls for research. Could Naruto really have been able to carry those books at that age? Hinata vaguely remembered her mother talking to a small boy before at the back door before she passed away. Was that Naruto? Ino thought back to when her mother would have a little stand of wild flowers, then about the time she became a genin she stopped putting it out. Were those the flowers Naruto picked? Choji knew his father had a vegetable garden but he never saw him water it. Did that mean Naruto had done it? Naruto was a smaller child than he had been, and to water that huge garden you had to carry a large metal pail and it was twice as heavy with water in it. How did he carry that pail? He's so tiny. I have got to talk to my father. Shino was steaming. He remembered those glass jars. He broke one once and his father had actually grounded him. How the hell did Naruto at the age of 5 make those glass jars? His friend, one of his closest friends, had been to his home almost his whole life and he had never known. Father better have some damn good answers. He cleaned the puppy pens? I thought that was my sister's job. Kiba racked his brain and tried to think if he had seen Naruto on the Inuzuka compound. Woof. Cookies and dirt. Akamaru barked. Naruto's scent went back to what Akamaru thought as puppy years. He remembered the scent when he was whelped. It was one of the first scents he could remember. What? Woof, woof. That's cookies and dirt. Akamaru remembers Naruto. He calls him cookies and dirt. Kiba stated as he watched his nin dog jumped over to the child in Tenten's arms, making Naruto giggle. Tsunade-sama. Iruka came running in. I have to find Naruto. I have a bad feeling something has happened to him. Calm yourself, Iruka-sensei. He is right here and as always your instincts are correct. There was an attempted kidnapping but Team Guy had prevented it before it could happen. Thank Kami. Where is he? Right here, Iruka-sensei. Tenten said, taking the child away from the happy nin dog. Naruto? Wuka. The chibi jumped from the kunoichi's arms to the stunned teacher's arms. Naruto. What happened? I fell asleep. I woke up. You. Did I do bad? No, my chibi kitsune, you are a good boy. You are a very good boy. Iruka hugged Naruto tightly, ignoring the tears that fell from his eyes. The whole room was silent as they watched the two embraced. They were so close they could have been mistaken for father and son. In truth, that was what they were, two lone souls loving and caring for one another, but no one had ever saw them like that before. Then again, no one ever bothered to pay attention or even look at the two orphans and their odd little family. This also raised some questions that it seemed that only Iruka and Naruto could answer, but not just yet. Hokage-sama, I have brought the case cage from Sanagakure. Sasuke entered the office escorting Gaara and his two siblings. All of them were confused at the silence and the gathering in the Hokage's office. The sudden arrival broke the silence, which led to a panic and hysteria in the form of a 5-year-old boy. Isoe, Uchiha-sama. Isoe. Naruto, it's alright, it's not Uchiha-sama. It's Sasuke, you remember Sasuke. Iruka tried to calm his son down. Isoe. Naruto kept crying, ignoring his foster father words. Naruto. A soft, firm voice broke through the hysterical ranting. Look at me. The Kyuubi container turned to the voice. His eyes met with understanding sea-green eyes, which were bruised from lack of sleep. You're white me. Q says we know you. Yes you do, Naruto, you know all of us. You're safe with us. Okay. Naruto sniffled, then moved from Iruka's hold to the arms of the case cage. Q twist you and Wuka. As Gaara held the chibi close, he could feel the Sharingan activate and glare into his back. He knew the Uchiha was in love with his adopted brother. He also knew that his chibi brother loved the raven-haired Avenger for many years as well, but never acted on it. Because Naruto knew he was a Jinchuriki, he didn't think he could be loved by the Uchiha and felt unworthy of that love. Gaara knew the truth. The Uchiha didn't deserve his chibi brother. Sasuke was burning with jealousy and rage. He was upset that Naruto was afraid of him. In the back of his mind, he was cursing his father once again. He was once again paying for his father's mistakes. He was jealous that his kitsune was hugging and trusting the raccoon Jinchuriki and not him. His chibi Dobi was afraid of him and he had no idea how make him like, let alone love him. Just you wait, raccoon boy, Naruto is mine. Soon after Naruto was in the case cage's arms, he fell asleep knowing he was safe in the arms that held him. Gaara let a tiny smile show, and this nearly gave his siblings a heart attack. They had never seen such a soft, loving expression cross their brother's face. This could only be a good sign that Gaara was more than the monster he contained. Now that Naruto is asleep, Iruka, maybe you can tell us a little about our beloved Gaki. Tsunade was the one who was allowed to call Naruto that because her voice held not hatred or malice, but the love and affection of a mother to her mischievous child. I don't know where to begin. Start at the beginning, Iruka. It's time they knew the truth about Naruto. The academy teacher's head whipped around to see a familiar face leaning against the open window holding a familiar book. I guess you're right, Kakashi-san. I met Naruto right before the Kyuubi was sealed inside of him. You see, Kyuubi did not attack the village alone, it was a traitor in the village that called the Nine Tails to the village. At the time there was a war between the shinobi nations and one of the nations had managed to turn some of the Konoha shinobi to their side. There was an uprising against the Yondaime, the demon was summoned. My parents were allies to this village and ambassadors from the Waterlands. They died in the early start of the battle. They were taken surprise and killed by a fellow Waterlands shinobi turned traitor during their fight against the Kyuubi. I saw them die and I was so angry with grief that I ran from my hiding place and picked up my father's fallen chakra blades and mother's senbons and was about to run into the fray of battles when the Sandaime stopped me. He told me that I was reckless to fight since I was not even a genin. He told me if I wanted to help then to evacuate the villages and keep away from battle. He said my parents wouldn't have wanted me to throw my life away in this fight but to survive this war. I pushed my anger aside and did as he asked, but once I was sure that all the civilians were safe I did not hide. I stayed and I fought in my own way. I set traps and tricks around the battle zones. I caught quite a few shinobi in my traps and I disabled them with my mother's special senbons. Unfortunately, I also caught a very angry Anbu in one of my traps. Iruka blushed, not looking at Kakashi. I was only upset because that trap saved my life. The masked Jonin smiled, but all anyone could see was the upside-down U-shape of his visible eye. Flashback. Gomen, I didn't mean to catch you. Iruka jumped up to the tree branch that the young Anbu was tied to. You shouldn't be here. You could have gotten me killed. The Anbu was angry that he fell for such a childish trap and now he was ticked even more, because he lost his mask. If it weren't for my trap you would be dead. Iruka shouted back, pointing to the three fallen enemy. I was only fighting two. Where? He was in the tree using genjutsu. He would have slit your throat. The pre-genin collected his senbons and placed them back in his armband. Iruka, Kakashi, Sandaime-sama. Both boys answered as they saw the third Hokage running up to them with some of the other shinobi. Iruka, I thought I told you to get to safety. Gomen, Sandaime-sama. Well, it doesn't matter now. It looks like you have your mother's eye and your father's strategic mind. You boys have done well, but the battle is not over. We drove most of the enemy back, but there is no stopping that demon. Yes, there is. The group turned around to see a tall blonde carrying a bundle wrapped in his jacket. Yondaime, sensei. This child will be the key to the Kyuubi's defeat, and after I want him to be considered a hero for his unknowing sacrifice. Sandaime-sama, please, go to the hideout, stay with the villagers. They will need you after this night. I want all of you to finish off the rest of the invading forces. Kakashi, I want you and your friend here to be close in the trees, near me and Gamabunta when I summon him. This is one of the forbidden techniques that will take a lot of chakra from me as well as Naruto. This will be my last fight after the Kyuubi is defeated. I want both to take Naruto and keep him safe. Hi, Yondaime-sama. Iruka bowed. Hi, sensei. Alright, you have your orders, now take to the trees. The shinobi was gone in the blink of an eye, but the Yondaime held back the pre-genin. Yondaime-sama? Tell me, what is your name? Amino, Iruka. Makajiki's and Ningyo's son. Your parents were strong and noble shinobi. Thank you, Yondaime-sama. I would like you to do something for me. Minato smiled at the confusion on the young boy's face. I want you watch over Kakashi as well as Naruto. Kakashi? The Anbu I caught in my trap? You caught Tensai Hitaki Kakashi? Minato chuckled. I bet he wasn't too happy about that. Kakashi is my student and he could really use a friend. Sure, he's brilliant, powerful and strong, but he needs love in his life or he will become the killing machine the elders have trained him to be. Please, Iruka, watch over Kakashi and help raise Naruto to be one of Konoha's greatest shinobi. This is my last wish before I leave this world. Watch over my student and my son. Hi, Yondaime-sama. I will watch over them. Thank you, Iruka. Now go, this battle ends now. Iruka bowed and took to the trees as Minato summoned the giant toad. He jumped from tree to tree following the giant toad towards the village. Where were you? Kakashi glared as Iruka finally caught up. Gomen Hitaki-san, I got lost. Fine, just stay close, you don't want to get stepped on. Kakashi was still angry that the twerp of a pre-genin had managed to trap him even if it did save his life. They could see fleeing ninjas and small fights going on the ground below. The village was torn up and fires had broken out around them as well. It was sad to see what their home had become, but they didn't dwell on it, they were on a mission. Suddenly there was an enormous outpour of chakra. Iruka stopped on the roof closest to the giant toad. His eyes widened as he saw his spirit reach down and through the Yondaime and his infant son and grab hold of the fox demon. The blue and red chakras battled for control. Naruto's cries of pain pierced through the air as the blue chakra won over the red, sealing the monster inside the innocent child. Gamabunta had vanished from overusing his chakra to help the Yondaime and his son. They were falling through the air with the last of his chakra spent and his soul sealing the demon. Minato Namikaze could not save his son. All he could do was fall. Hitaki-san, Iruka shouted as he jumped into the air to catch the falling infant. Kakashi understood the yell as he leapt into the air to catch his falling sensei. They landed a few feet away from one another and gave the other a reassuring nod. Iruka began to check over Naruto, making sure the baby in his arms was uninjured. Once he was sure the child was all right, he wrapped him up in the tattered robe. Iruka, duck. The pre-genin did a quick duck and roll, keeping Naruto close to his chest as Kakashi took out an enemy nin about to kill them. Then he returned the favor by stabbing the enemy about to kill Kakashi in the chest with his chakra blade. "Is that the last of them?" panted Iruka as he dropped his blade to hold Naruto closer. "For now. Come, let's get you two, somewhere safe," Kakashi whispered as he scanned the surrounding area. The Anab picked up the fallen chakra blade and handed it to the smaller boy. "Hi, arigato," Iruka replied softly. Taking the blade, he placed it back on his belt and jumped a little when he felt Kakashi take him by the hand. "This way, we can avoid the fires and any other fights going on." "Hi." Kakashi was a little shocked when the hand he held gave his hand a gentle squeeze, but he gave no notice of it. Instead, he led the younger boy and the baby to the safety of the Hokage Tower. End flashback. Yeah, well, trap was meant to capture the enemy, not Anbu. The Chunin sighed. "After I freed Kakashi, the Yondaime, Sandaime, and other shinobi came up to us with a plan to defeat the Kyuubi. That was the first time I met this little chibi. He was only an hour old. After the sealing of the Kyuubi, Kakashi and I took him to Hokage Tower, and that was where the nightmare of Naruto's life began. Once Iruka and I had arrived at the Hokage Tower, Naruto was taken from us and an emergency meeting of elders and clans was called. We sat in the hall waiting while the chibi's fate was decided. Lucky for us, my Iruka-kun was very good at listening jutsu." Kakashi smiled as he watched his lover blushed. All but a few of the clans and the Sandaime wanted Naruto to be put to death to eliminate the threat of the Kyuubi ever escaping. Sandaime-sama wouldn't have it and dismissed the meeting, stating that Naruto Uzumaki was an innocent child and had the right to live his life. The others disagreed and warned him that the demon child would not be allowed in the orphanage or the schools where the children could be in danger. After the others had left, I was able to take Naruto home with me. Iruka smiled. "I was young, I know, too young to be taking care of a baby, but no one else would. The Sandaime would watch Naruto sometimes while I was at the academy, and I was take care of him the rest of the time. It was hard for us, especially the first few years, because news of Naruto being the Kyuubi contained spread like wildfire. It fueled people's fear and hatred that people wouldn't serve us. This would make Naruto sad. He didn't know why the villagers hated him. I tried to become a ninja as fast as I could to earn more money for us to live on. Naruto had so much energy he was hard to control sometimes until he was about 3 when I got him his first job. I thought of a way to keep him busy during the day when I was out on a mission and to keep him away from the villagers. I taught Naruto how to pick wild flowers and arrange them. Then I asked Yamanaka-san if she could sell them for us. She knew my mother and was kind to me as a child, so I hoped she would be willing to sell our flowers. I was very happy when she agreed to sell them at 2 yen a bouquet. It wasn't much, but it was a lot to Naruto and me. As he got older, he seemed to find more odd jobs. I was very proud of him and he worked hard. Unfortunately, the villagers worked harder at hating him. Sometimes I would come home to find him hiding. He would be covered in bruises and cuts, sometimes even burn marks. There was nothing I could do but bandage him up and tell him he was a good little boy and the villagers were wrong. I asked for shorter missions or low-ranking ones that would keep me close to home, but Sandaime wouldn't comply. He said I would never get stronger that way. I was so upset I made a deal with him. If I could make Chunin in a year, he would give me a teacher's position and an increase in pay. If I didn't, I would take any and all missions. Needless to say, I passed the exam, but was the hardest year for the both of us, but I wouldn't change a thing. The whole room was speechless. They never knew any of this about their former sensei or their friend. Even Kakashi was speechless. He never was around because in his grief he fled and buried himself in missions. He did look in on the two from time to time as his sensei had asked of him. He had held Minato's dying body in his arms and heard his last wish. Kakashi, watch them, watch? Iruka and Naruto, and then he was gone. Sensei, I'm sorry. I let you down. I should have been there more. The silence was broken by Sasuke, who had questions burning in his mind that had to be answered, and he was not leaving this office without them or his dobi. You said most of the clans disapproved of Naruto. Was my father one of them? Yes, in fact it was Fugaku who suggested they kill Naruto for the safety of the village. Yes, the safety of the village. Sasuke muttered bitterly. I need to know what he did to Naruto to make us fear him like that. You probably don't remember, you both were only 4, but Itachi had taken you to the park that day. I had just returned from a mission and I was already at the park with Naruto. Itachi and I sat on a bench and watched you both run around, play together. You both were having so much fun that Itachi forgot about training with your father. He came looking for you both and was livid. He ordered Itachi to take you home and that he would deal with me and the demon. He put us both under genjutsu with his Sharingan. I don't know what Naruto saw, but I lived in my worst nightmare for what seemed like years till Itachi came back to the park and released us. After that day Naruto would run if he saw your father and he never wanted to go back to that park again. I see. Please excuse me. Sasuke's voice was calm as he did rapid hand signs and teleported out of the office. Do you think Sasuke will be alright? Sakura asked, a little worried at her teammate's sudden departure. No worries, Sakura-san. Sasuke-kun is a righteous shinobi youth. He will always overcome any adversities. Lee reassured his girlfriend. Kaboom! Suddenly the loud explosion had everyone running to the window to see what had happened. The forest surrounding the training area was now gone and there was a huge crater at the center of the destruction. In that crater was a pissed-off Uchiha Sasuke. Yeah, he took out those adversities as well as half the training grounds. How troublesome. We'll let the Uchiha calm down. Now let's get back to our seats, this meeting isn't over. Tsunade took her seat once again as the others also reclaimed their seats. Now Iruka-sensei, Naruto said, Q trusted you and the case cage. How long has he been able to talk to Kyuubi? After he was released from the genjutsu he was unconscious until I got him home. When he woke I saw Kyuubi's blood-red eyes staring at me. Naruto was hiding in his mind and his screaming woke Kyuubi. I didn't tell anyone. I was afraid they might take Naruto away from me or kill him at the sight of Kyuubi. So I talked to Q-san and we came to an agreement. He would watch out for Naruto when I wasn't around and I would keep Naruto happy and safe and Q-san appearance a secret. Can you call Kyuubi? Maybe he can tell us about what is happening to Naruto. Hi. Iruka waked over the chibi sleeping in Gaara's arms. Lift up the huge shirt. He places a hand on the sealed tummy, feeding a bit of chakra into it. Q-san, please, we need to speak with you. What is it, Ruka? I'm trying to keep the kid calm. Naruto's eyes shot open, revealing blood-red silted eyes. Then he swatted the hand away from his seal. Kyuubi, it was me who wanted to talk to you. Kyuubi turned his head to glare at the Godem. Oh, it's you. What do you want, Hag? Listen up, you furball, I want answers and I want them now. What is going on with my Gaki and can you fix it? The kid is fine. He's a healthy 5-year-old human. The potion we were injected with was not a poison but a body-altering potion. I can only fight off poisons and any life-threatening injures. In this chibi form his memories are repressed as well as a majority of my powers. I don't know how long it will last, but if something isn't done he'll have to grow up all over again. Let tell you this. I am not going to let my kid go through that shit again. I will take him and Ruka away from here if it comes to that. Naruto won't be treated like that, Q-san, he has friends now. Iruka tried to soothe his son's inner roommate. Iruka-sensei is right, Kyuubi. We won't let anyone hurt or take Naruto away from us. We don't want to lose him or Iruka-sensei. Please return to Naruto and we'll take care of him, you have my word. Fine. I warn you, anything happens and I will take my kits and leave, but not before I burn this tower down. We understand. Tsunade conceded as she stared down the demon inside the child. If you want to find a cure, you might need to seek the help of a potions expert. I'm sure the bat will come running if you tell her Naruto is in trouble. Tell who? Kurai, Sukora of the hidden village of darkness in Yorugakure. Kyuubi smirked before closing his eyes and slumping back into the arms that held him. He'll be asleep for a while. At this age it would take a lot of chakra for Q-san to come out and talk. The academy teacher sighed as he covered the sleeping Naruto with the bright orange jacket. I see. Kyuubi has learned to care and he sees you and Naruto has his kits. Tsunade smiled at the blushing teacher. Well, we don't want Kyuubi to take either of you away, so we shall divide Naruto's care up between Team Guy and Rookie 9. Tsunade-sama, I can take care of Naruto just like I've been doing the last 18 years. Protest Iruka panicked at the thought that his son might be taken away from him. I know you did a wonderful job raising him. He is a kind, caring and wonderful man as well as an intelligent and skillful shinobi. I am not denying you your son, but the Akatsuki is still hunting for him. In this weakened state he needs constant protection. I will allow him to spend the first week with you and Kakashi to get Naruto adjusted, but the next week he will be moved to his new caretakers. Each week he will be with someone different. This way he won't have a fixed location and he is always with at least 2 ninja at all times. I understand. Iruka was saddened. He didn't want to be separated from his son turned chibi, but it was for the best. He would rather die than let the Akatsuki get a hold of Naruto. Hokage-sama, I would like to extend my visitation to Konoha. I also would like to spend time with Naruto. Gaara stated calmly, not really asking to stay but more like telling Tsunade he was going to stay with his little brother, and that was finale. Granted. Iruka, I want you to bring him to the hospital tomorrow so I can run some tests on him, see as we can get a handle on what we're dealing with before we seek outside help. Ibiki should be finished interrogating the kidnappers by then, so that will also help in finding a cure. Now that this is settled, Shizune will write up the rotation schedule and you will report here for Naruto duty. And someone go find the Uchiha and tell him what's going on before he destroys the forest and exposes the village. I'll do it. I'll see you at home, Iruka-kun. Kakashi winked before disappearing in a puff of smoke. I will walk with you, Iruka-sensei. I would like to see where Naruto grew up. Gaara did not want to let Naruto go just yet. He liked the feel of knowing this little chibi loved and trusted him. We will be honored to have you in our home cage. The teacher smiled and led Gaara to their little cottage in the woods, leaving the others to think on what they had learned that day. Sasuke was not a happy ninja. Okay, Sasuke was never a happy ninja, but right now he was a severely pissed off ninja. He let loose a major Chidori, taking out a good chunk of the training field as well as emptying out his arsenal on the debris of fallen trees. Ma Sasuke, you really should think about anger management. Kakashi, this is my anger management. My father did it again, didn't he? Tried to rule the Kyuubi inside Naruto, and when he failed he made Naruto's life a living hell. So it would seem, but you will have to ask your contact about that. The ex-Anbu saw Sasuke stiffen at the mention of his contact. Don't worry, no one else can hear us. Everyone wants to stay far away from you till you are no longer in the killing mood. Still, you shouldn't talk about him till Naruto is safe once and for all. What is to happen with the Dobi while he is a chibi? He will stay with Iruka and I for the first week, then he will rotated to another place. Team Guy and all of Rookie 9 will be caring for him, that includes you if we can get him to see you as you and not your father. But like I said, you'll have to talk to your contact about that. Also, Kyuubi told us there is nothing he can do about the potion that changed Naruto, but he gave a name as to someone who might be able to help. Ibiki is breaking the kidnappers now and Tsunade will run test on Naruto in the morning. Until we know more, we sit wait and protect our chibi Naruto. Well, it's getting late, I don't want to keep my dolphin waiting. I'll see you tomorrow training 7 a.m. The Jonin was about to leave when he was called back by his former student. Kakashi, what was the name Kyuubi gave? Kurai, Sukora. Chances are your contact may know her. Sasuke was in deep thought. He didn't even notice Kakashi had left. The more he thought about Naruto, the more questions he had. Damn Kakashi. He's right, I have to call the bastard. Taking out his untraceable cell phone, he called the one number on the phone listed contact. Contact, is the line secure? This is contact. Line is secure. Code please. Sasuke hated calling contact ever since he suggested codes to prevent a security breach. I demand a new code. Invalid code. Please try again or call will be terminated. Sasuke could hear the laughter in the bastard's voice. I'm Orochimaru's bitch. Yes, you are little brother, yes you are. Code confirmed. Itachi, you are a bastard and I hate you. I love you too, Sasuke. Now what can I do for you? You haven't called in a year, so I assume it's important. Itachi hadn't enjoyed his fun, but as he had said, Sasuke didn't call unless it was important. Itachi never killed his family. He hated them and he hated his father most of all for how he treated him and Sasuke, but he wouldn't have killed them. No, that was Madara's doing. He saw the disgrace the clan had become and decided to wipe it out and start anew. Itachi managed to hide Sasuke and save him from Madara. Madara gave him a choice to stay in the village and die or to follow him into his new organization and rebuild the clan to its true glory. He gave Itachi a day to think about and then he would kill him. After that brief meeting, he grabbed Sasuke from his hiding spot and ran to the Hokage's office. There the Sandaime came up with the plan for Itachi to take the blame for the massacre and go undercover and try and destroy the organization from the inside out. Only 3 people knew of his undercover work: Kakashi because he was his Anbu trainer, the Sandaime left a secure file for the Godem so Tsunade knew, and Sasuke he was too little to understand much. Just that he was going on a very long mission and that he would be in contact. That's how the whole code and contact came to be. Sasuke went a little AWOL when he went to Orochimaru. He wanted to help Itachi by trying to eliminate the Akatsuki members, however Orochimaru had gone out on his own and that wasted 2.5 years of his life and put his dobi in danger. Since then Itachi never fails to remind him of his rash actions, so they will not be repeated. It's about the dobi. Something happened to him and I need answers. Now what's happened to the sunspot? Last report says he completed his mission and returned home safe. The attack happened in the village. A group of Akatsuki wannabes tried to kidnap him. They injected him with a potion that turned him 5 years old again. You mean mentally? No. He is 5 years old mentally and physically. Now that is serious. I'll try and keep that from coming to the attention of the others, but that is some serious potion work. I'm not sure we have that on record in the archives. Don't look into it, they are working on it here. I called you because I need answers and only you can give them to me. He thought you were father, didn't he? Itachi leaned back in his chair, letting the tiredness of repressed pain show. Yes. Iruka-sensei said father put him and Naruto under genjutsu. I need to know what happened, I need to know what Naruto saw. He won't come near me and it's killing me. Sasuke could feel his heart clench at the thought of Naruto fearing him and running away. And it was all that bastard's fault. Sasuke, I know how much you love Naruto, but what father did to him won't be easy to heal. Not for a child who has had very little love in his life. Are you sure you want to put yourself through that? He might fear you even more. I have to try. He's always been there for me and he was the one who brought me back from Orochimaru. I need him just as much as he needs me. Very well, then I can't tell what happened, I have to show you. I'll be at mother's cabin tomorrow at sundown. I'll be there. Thanks Tachi. Then Sasuke hung up and fell to the ground emotionally drained. You're up early, Ruka. The Chunin melted into the arms that wrapped around his waist and held him from behind. I guess I was little excited this morning. I thought it was a dream and Naruto was not here but still away on his mission or maybe back at his tiny apartment. Then I went to his room and there he was snuggling with his scarecrow rag doll you made him all those years ago, and I cried. My little boy is back and he's home with us. Don't cry, Ruka. Kakashi turned his lover around so he wiped those tears away. Yes, our chibi Kitsune is back, but this time around we can make it better for him. I'm not just talking about just as normal care, I mean we both can spoil him like you wanted to all those years ago. We can be that family that you always wanted us to be. You mean the one you were terrified of? Iruka smiled teasingly. While I was a teenager and babies scared me. The ex-Anbu blushed. I was scared at first too, but I wouldn't change my life for anything. We were a family back then, you just didn't see it till the last minute. That I would change about you because you have a lousy sense of timing. You were even late to our wedding. But Ruka, I told you what happened. I really saw 3 ghosts and they showed me my life and how I would be stupid if I didn't marry you. Kakashi, I know you had doubts, trust me I had a few of my own, but I do not believe you are Scrooge in a Konoha Christmas Carol. Ma, I surrender my beloved dolphin. But the point I was trying to make is let's give our chibi the best childhood we can this time around and maybe it make up for what we couldn't give him the first time. Iruka was taken back by the conviction in his husband's voice. He couldn't believe this was his lazy lover, who would rather read his porn than do anything constructive unless it involved both of them naked in bed. Iruka gave him a soft smile. How could say no to something they both wanted? Naruto was going to have the best second childhood they could give him. We will Kashi. Naruto has us and his friends to make sure he's happy this time. The lovers melted into a tender loving kiss. Ruka, a little voice yawned. I hungry. Iruka jumped back then pushed his husband to the side to see Naruto standing in the kitchen doorway rubbing the sleep out of his eyes. Ohayu my chibi kitsune. And in an instant Naruto was scooped up into strong familiar arms. What don't I get a good morning? Pouted the copycat ninja who had pulled his mask back up. Kashi, you're home, you going stay white? I miss you. Naruto jumped from his father's arms to Kakashi's, much to his surprise. Yeah chibi, I'm here to stay. He hugged the little boy close and silently cursed Obito for being a cry-baby as he could feel his Sharingan was crying behind his Hite 8. Alright you two, if you want to eat then you both have to go wait in the living room while I make banana pancakes. Iruka smiled as he pushed them both out of the kitchen. Yay, nana cakes, squealed the chibi wiggling in Kakashi's arms. Yes Naruto and Ruka will make them with whipped cream smiley faces. And choco chips eyes, giggled the chibi, and strawberry noses. The two cheered. Iruka just smiled at the antics of his little family. This is what they missed the first time around and it was something they could now cherish. So, Tsunade, why did I have to rush here? I was in the middle of research for my latest masterpiece. A voice grumbled from the open window of the Hokage office. Shut up you pervert. It's important, it has to do with your godson, and what is it with you always going through my window? What do you and Kakashi have against using doors? HMPH. What's wrong with the brat? Last I checked his seal was holding steady. The seal is fine. Naruto was just turned back into a 5-year-old chibi, that's all. Tsunade replied, not looking up from her paperwork as the toad sage fell through the window and onto the floor beside her. That's impossible. Jiraiya jumped to his feet. This is Naruto we're taking about. Anything that can happen, whether it is possible or not, will happen to him. Here's Ibiki's report. Tsunade sat back in her chair and handed over the folder. She kept her face blank, judging his expression as he read the file. The kidnappers received the potion from a potions master in the Shadowlands. They didn't know the effects of the potion. They asked for the strongest potion to subdue a Jinchuriki and this is what he gave them. Their plan was to take Naruto to the Akatsuki in exchange for membership, but Lee had seen them. He, Neji and Tenten apprehended then and brought Naruto here. While he was here I spoke with Kyuubi. He said there was nothing he could do, his powers are suppressed while Naruto is in this chibi form. But mention a potion expert that might be able to help. Her name is Kurai, Sukora. She's in a village close to the Shadowlands. Kyuubi also said she knew Naruto and wouldn't hesitate to help. Who is she and what do you know about her? Can she be trusted? She can be trusted, but she's scary. Scary? How so? She is like an odd mixture of your favorite rookies and Team Guy. She was born almost completely blind. She can see light and color and only things focused under a microscope clearly. Her family blood limit is a fusion of hearing and sight. The clan can see in the dark as in echolocation just like bats. Her blindness has caused her other senses to heighten. She is as smart as a Nara, has the sight of a Hyuga, the chakra control of Sakura, the stamina of Naruto, the weapons expertise of Tenten, the swiftness of Lee, and you're not going to believe this, the control of bugs like an Aburame. She can control Kikai? No, just fireflies. She trains inside her laboratory mixing her potions while battling. Like I said, she's scary. Oh, and she has the attitude of an Uchiha. Wonderful. How did you and Naruto meet this Kunoichi? We were taking a detour visiting Yorugakure for their volcanic hot springs. I wanted to get some research in before chasing another Akatsuki lead when I was poisoned by a blow dart outside the onsen. You mean you were caught peeping and they took you out? I wasn't peeping. It was research. Anyways, Naruto panicked and dragged me to a clinic. That's where we met her. She didn't treat me because she said it wouldn't kill me and that I deserved it. Turns out she supplied the onsen security with the potions to subdue riffraff. He was not going to tell Tsunade. It gave him the runs. He would never hear the end of it. I was out of action for 3 days, and you know Naruto when his training is interrupted. He demanded she take over training since I was unable. She ignored him at first, but after an hour of the brat's loud constant whining her delicate hearing couldn't take it anymore and she agreed. To put up with him, I mean, train him. She was the one who helped him develop the Rasen Shuriken. Our detour lasted a month as we had brief encounter with Kabuto, who was seeking forbidden potions from the Yuru shinobi. To Naruto's disappointment, he had come alone and disappeared before we could question him about Sasuke and Orochimaru. I see. She is a very powerful ninja. How old is she? Let me think. She should be almost 20 by now. She's their brightest prodigy to ever come out of the Yorugakure Academy. She's the Mangetsukage's jewel of the village, and you won't let her go that easily. We'll worry about that after I run some tests on Naruto. No need to start a diplomatic battle without facts to back it up. In the meantime, I want you to make sure to keep an ear out for any news on if the Akatsuki knows about Naruto's current condition. Hi, I'll leave after I see Brat. Fine, just to warn you, he's even cuter than you remember. Shizune, Tsunade bellowed, and her assistant came running in with an arm full of paperwork. I'm going to the hospital. Please finish up the paperwork, will you? Tsunade-sama, you haven't even finished yesterday's paperwork. But her cries fell on deaf ears as the two remaining Sannin left the room. Why do I have to go? I'm not sick. Naruto, someone gave you a potion and Tsunade-sama just wants to make sure you are alright. She'll check out your chakra and Q-san's chakra and maybe take some blood work. Iruka explained as they walked into the hospital. I don't want shots. Naruto, you are strong, brave shinobi. Surely you are brave enough to face the shots. Kakashi smiled behind his mask. I'm B-Wave. He puffed out his chest as a sign of strength, but his eyes gave away his fear. How would you like Pakun to sit with you? That way you can have a partner for this mission. Really? Please, I want to see Pakun. Naruto jumped up and down. Kakashi and Iruka chuckled at the antics of their chibi. Kakashi cut his thumb on a kunai and performed the rapid hand signs. Kachiyose no jutsu. Yo, Pakun, I need you to see with Naruto while he has his checkup. Isn't he a little old to have his hand held? Growled the ninkin. I don't know, ask him yourself. Pakun. The pug jumped in the air and spun around just in time to see a 5-year-old blonde blur run towards him and scoop him up and hug him. I missed you. You and Kashi are always on missions. Yeah, missed you too, pup. Pakun gasped. Naruto, don't squeeze him too hard, you know you're stronger than you look. Iruka scolded gently. Oh, so we. Naruto said as he loosened his grip. No problem, pup. Look, here comes the doc. Jiraiya, what are you doing here? I didn't know you were in the village. Iruka-sensei, it's good to see you, and you too, Kakashi. I heard what happened and I wanted to see Naruto before I head out on my next research trip. The Toad Sage smiled as he saw Naruto hiding behind his foster father's legs, still holding the ninkin. Well, now that we're all here, let's get these tests done and then you can go out and play. Tsunade smiled. But I have to work. Not this time, Chibi Kitsune. You don't need to work anymore, we want you to just have fun. Kakashi knelt down before Naruto. You're going to be going to friends' houses and just having fun. What about twaining? They will help you, maybe they can show you some new stuff. Now you and Pakun go with Tsunade-sama and then we can go have fun. Okay, Kashi. Naruto held the pug closer and walked hesitantly to the busty blonde. This won't take long. You can pick them up in an hour. The Hokage led Naruto further into the hospital. I hope Naruto is okay. Sakura said as she sipped her tea. Teen Guy and Rookie 9 had gathered at the dango shop. Most were still in shock over what happened, but all wanted to do their best to protect their friend. Sure he is, this is Naruto we're talking about. Kiba shouted. Do we know who gets Naruto first? Ino asked. He will be staying with me and my family. Shikamaru yawned. And I'll be staying with you as well. The group looked up to see the Sand siblings enter the shop. The others made room for the new arrivals. Your Hokage wants 2 guards with a chibi at all times. Troublesome. As if Naruto won't be a handful enough, I have to deal with a troublesome woman as well. Something tells me you'll be more of a crybaby than Uzumaki. Enough, you two, this is about Naruto and giving him a great second childhood. I mean, what did any of us really know about Naruto growing up? Sakura snapped. I have no memories of him till he started the academy, and that was only when he started pulling pranks. I didn't even know he existed. It was hard to keep back the tears that filled her eyes. The group went completely silent. Iruka-sensei has taught him everything. He said that the villagers wouldn't let him attend school. Hinata shyly spoke up. Yeah, that's right. So while we all went to school, he did odd jobs around the village. I tried to talk to my sister, but she wouldn't say anything, and my mom is out on a mission, so I couldn't talk to her. Kiba growled. My father was also unavailable. Has anyone else confronted their parents? Shino asked. No, it seems we won't get any answers until Naruto stays with us and our families. They can't deny it when he is staring them in the face. Neji stated. What will you do Uchiha when your turn comes? Gaara asked the silent Jonin in the corner. I will deal with it when the time comes. I have to let him get used to my presence first, so I shall take him last. Sasuke glared at the cage. Very well, but is the past too strong for you to overcome? If so, will you run away again? I won't fail and I won't run away. As you wish Uchiha, but hurt him and I will kill you. Tamari, Kankuro, stay here, I have meetings to attend to. I will see you later at our rooms. Gaara rose and bowed to the group before leaving. He knew he gave the Uchiha a lot to think about. He was dead serious about killing him. No one hurt his loved ones and lived. See, that wasn't so bad. Tsunade gave you a treat for being so brave. You were white Ruka, it didn't hurt much, and Pakun let me feel his soft bouncy paw. Naruto smiled, who was riding on Oshi, the largest of Kakashi's summons. When Pakun returned to the other summons, he told the story of Naruto being a pup again. Oshi popped up to the chibi's side. Oshi had a soft spot for children and he loved playing with Naruto during his puppy years. Due to Kakashi's constant coming and goings, he wasn't able to spend much time with the chibi. Ma, Naruto, guess what I found out when you were with Tsunade-sama? Don't know Kashi. A summer festival starts tonight. Really? Hi. Now that we all have time off, we are going to go. Can Oshi go too? Naruto asked hopefully. What do you say, Oshi? Kakashi smiled at his ninkin. I'm staying with the pup. Where he goes I go. Oshi roughed. Well, if we're going to go, we better get you a new yukata. Uruka laughed, leading the other to the clothing shops. A long time ago Uruka would have made the yukata himself, since the shops would sell anything to them, but now, as he was a respected teacher and his husband Kakashi, an elite shinobi, was with him and Naruto, they wouldn't have any trouble getting what their son needed. Plus he dared anyone to go against the massive ninkin protecting their chibi. Then we should get you a new one too. Kakashi smiled at the bushing teacher. No, I don't need one. Uruka, yours is at least 8 years old and doesn't even fit right anymore. You need a new one just as much as Naruto, I insist. Then you have to get one too, Kakashi, because I know for a fact you don't even own a yukata. You were always away on missions, and even if you weren't, you never went to a festival. Uruka smirked, knowing he caught his lover in his own trap. Come on, this store will have yukatas for all of us. Uruka smiled, ignoring the shocked expression on his husband's face and leading Naruto and Oshi into the store. Me and my big mouth. The ex-Anbu muttered, hanging his head in defeat while following the others. I hate trying on clothes. Hours later found the family wandering through the festival in their brand new yukatas. Kakashi's yukata was a dark navy blue with the Henehenomoheji symbol on the back with matching mask, while Uruka's was a light blue with a dolphin embroidered on the back at his lover's insistence. Naruto's yukata was a soft orange with blue trim and had a frog that looked like Gamakichi embroidered on the back. Are sure you want that on the back? Hi, I know him, I think. ITWY and think bout it, but my head hup with theirs. It seemed Naruto had his memories, but any attempt to recall them gave their chibi a headache. So they decided not to push the issue and would tell Tsunade later. For now they would enjoy the festival and watch Naruto smile with pure happiness. If he eats anymore, I'm afraid he'll burst. Ruka, don't worry, he needs to eat a lot because of his 2 chakras, you know that it burns through his system quickly. I know, and it makes my heart ache to think of all the times I wasn't able to give enough of what he needed. Uruka whispered, fighting back the tears that threatened to show. I know, Koi, but it's different now. Look, he's trying to win a goldfish. Kakashi pointed to the booth where Naruto and Oshi were. Naruto had a look of serious concentration on his face and was determined to catch at least one fish. He'll catch one, he won't give up till he does. So I guess you should win a glass bowl for it to live in. Me? Why me? Because you are Sharingan Kakashi, master of 1,000 jutsus, surely you can win one little prize. Uruka said sweetly at his lover. Fine, but just remember you're going to end up taking care of the fish. Kakashi could never say no to that sweet face. Deep inside he knew this is what Obito and his sensei were trying to tell him all those years ago. That it's okay to love and be loved, and he would be better than just a mindless killing machine. Yes, this was the better life than he had when he was alone, and he was going to enjoy the second chance. Now he had a bull to win, that way they would have time to find a good spot to watch the fireworks. I'm glad you made it, little brother, I was beginning to get lonely. Itachi was lounging on the couch when Sasuke entered their mother's cabin. It had been a wedding gift from their mother's family on her wedding day, but only Sasuke and Itachi would ever spend time there camping because their father hated the woods, and only on missions where he was forced to camp did he ever go into the woods. So this was the Uchiha brothers' home away from home, which was quite often. I'm glad you maintained the cabin. We wouldn't want the dust to affect our Sharingan. So where's your pet shark? Kisame? I left him in a village not too far from here at an all-you-can-eat sushi bar. Itachi ignored Sasuke's disbelieving look and got up off the couch. You really shouldn't be too hard on Kisame. He was one of Orochimaru's early experiments with animal DNA. He only survived due to his water-infused chakra. He's still a walking killer fish. Yes, but it's not his fault. Blame Orochimaru and the Akatsuki who trained him to be that way. I've been caring for him since his transformation and really isn't a bad guy. I managed to keep what little humanity he had left intact, but never play cards with him. He's a very sore loser. You're not dating him, are you? Sasuke asked in a panicked voice. He didn't think he could handle his brother dating a fish, or he might have to kill them both to save his own sanity. No, little brother, I am not. Itachi rolled his eyes. He's a friend that acts more like a pet. I bet he would be happy if I stuck him in a bowl and fed him fish, but no, I am not romantically involved with him. I do however like the Hokage's assistant. She is very beautiful. You have a crush on Shizune? She is like 10 years older than you. So, love has no age limit. Unfortunately, I have my duties as a spy and she doesn't know I exist, so there is nothing to get worked up about. Itachi turned away and removed his black and red cloud cloak, hoping to hide his hurt feelings. Sasuke didn't know what to say. It was true that his brother was a spy and he couldn't take the chance at a relationship, but to see Itachi hurt like this was almost too much to bear. His brother deserved to be happy just as much as anyone else. Sasuke promised himself to help destroy the Akatsuki so Itachi could finally find his happiness. Now Sasuke, are you sure you want to see this? It will not be pretty. And although it may seem like nothing to us, it is the nightmare of a child. To Naruto this was very real and it was never ending. I'm sure. I can't stand how he looks at me in fear or how he screams when I get too close to him. It's killing me from the inside out. Very well then brother, let us begin. Itachi led Sasuke to the middle of the living room where he had 2 meditation mats laid out. They sat facing each other and activating their Sharingan just like in their training they had done countless times over the years. Both sets of Sharingan began to spin faster and faster, and Itachi began the hand signs for the jutsu. Kyoku Genkaku no Jutsu. Sasuke watched the world around them and melt away in a red haze. He closed his eyes feeling dizzy and off-balanced. When he opened them he saw they were no longer in the cabin but what looked like a park in the middle of the village. He remembered this park was close to the Uchiha compound. The wind was blowing, it was a cool spring day and there was birds flying overhead. Where are we? Not where are we, but when are we, little brother? This is 14 years ago when you and Naruto first met. Over there is Naruto, as you can see it is just him and Iruka-sensei. I am pretty sure if there had been any children here they were taken away by their parents once they saw Naruto coming. The Uchiha brothers watched as Iruka tried to cheer the chibi up by playing with him in the sand. And here we come. It's hard to believe we were ever that small and what a brat you were. Sasuke watched as a 9-year-old Itachi dragged a 4-year-old pouting Sasuke to the park. He also saw Naruto perk up as he saw them approach the sandbox where he and Iruka were playing. Sasuke, stop pouting, Okasan wants you to play with other children. She says it's not healthy to train all the time. That's not what Otuzan says. Otuzan also says we have to listen to Okasan. Itachi smirked as his little brother couldn't argue against that. Ohayu Itachi-san. Ohayu Iruka-san, this is my Oto Sasuke. Sasuke, this is Iruka-san, he is also taking the Chunin exams. Shouldn't you be training then? Glare Sasuke. Oi bwat. My Iruka twains hard all the time. Dobi. If he wants to pass he should train. I not a dobi. You ah. Bet you can't catch me. I can too. You're a slow dobi. Tweet. And Chibi Naruto ran off with Chibi Sasuke right behind him. That's how it all began. You being the same little bastard you are now, and him being the happy little sunspot. Itachi and Sasuke watched the memory play out, neither wanting to end the cherished childhood dream. Iruka-sensei looks so young yet so tired. It was hard on him to raise Naruto by himself. He had to use a hedge to even go grocery shopping for them, or they wouldn't get any fresh food. His missions were low pay, they couldn't afford much. I think that's why they mostly ate ramen, because it was cheap and didn't spoil. Iruka-sensei had to pass the Chunin exams as well as train and look after Naruto with no help from anyone. Not many were willing to babysit for the container of the Kyuubi. Also, Naruto was a handful, and he was quite clever too. He would get into everything if you weren't watching him. He was a prankster even in his chibi years because he didn't like anyone but Iruka-sensei to taking care of him. I do remember that Kakashi ended up watching Naruto for the first 2 exams, then he went to the mission office and requested a mission to block out the trauma of babysitting the sunspot. Look, here comes father. Itachi. Sasuke. What are you doing here? Okasan wanted me to take Sasuke to the park. Suddenly Itachi was slapped hard in the face as if had just said a curse word. The older Itachi flinched at the memory and rubbed the phantom sting of his cheek. She didn't tell you to bring Sasuke to the demon. Take your brother home, I will take care of this filth. Hi Otuzan. Come along Sasuke. But the chibi could move and ended up being dragged home by Itachi. Uchiha-sama. Leave Naruto alone, he's just a boy. He is not the Kyuubi and he never will be. So just leave him be before I go to the Sandaime. The teenage genin stood in front of the clan head in defiance. Are you threatening me? You're a genin and one of Orochimaru's snakes. You should have been kicked out of the village when he went missing, Ninyu and that traitor Mitarashi. You are nothing but trash, not worth the air I breathe, let alone be worth my time. I will show you never to come near my family again. Sharingan. Iruka's body froze for an instant before falling to the ground with his eyes still wide open and lifeless. Ruka. Naruto ran to his fallen father and tried to shake him awake, but it was no use. Why you Ruka? I didn't hurt him, you did, demon. If you weren't he wouldn't be hurt. I will show the pain you caused this world. Sharingan. Naruto's ocean blue eyes were caught in the blood-red swirling eyes. Then his little body fell on top of his father's, his eyes just as lifeless. Never come near my family again, demon. Sasuke and Itachi watched as their most hated father left his 2 victims lying helpless on the ground. Shortly after Fugaku was no longer in sight, they saw young Itachi come running back to the park. They watched as Itachi moved Naruto off Iruka's chest and then he removed the jutsu from the older genin. Take it easy Iruka-san, you will fell sick for a while, that was a very strong genjutsu. I'm fine. Where's Naruto? He's right here, I will remove the jutsu now. I wasn't sure how he would react, so I woke you first so you could be there for him. Iruka nodded and picked up Naruto, placing him on his lap, and Itachi began to remove the jutsu. Alright little brother, here it comes. Hold on, the memory is going to change and we are going to see Naruto's genjutsu. The world around them went into a haze once again. Sasuke closed his eyes and when he opened them the sky was red, the village was on fire and there were men, women and children covered in blood lying dead in the streets. Then they heard Fugaku's voice air. This is, what, you are demon. You are a killer and you caused their deaths. No, 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 no. The Uchiha brothers looked into the fire and saw what was supposed to Naruto on his knees and his face covered by his blood-covered clawed hands. But it's true, demon, this is your future. You killed my son. Naruto looked up and looked in shock. Itachi and Sasuke were able to see his whiskered scars had darkened, his teeth became fangs and his eyes were blood red, his ears were pointed and he had a bushy orange tail. They watched as he got up and ran to a fallen body. Saki, no, I don't do it. You did. Everywhere you go you kill and destroy lives, you even killed your friend. The one who took you in out of pity, and this is how a demon thanks his caregiver. I don't do it. No? Then look behind you, demon. Watch as you kill Iruka-san with your own claws. Ruka? The scared Kyuubi container turned from Sasuke's dead body to slaughter behind him. Naruto saw himself in demon form attacking Iruka, who wasn't fighting back but screaming, "Why Naruto? I love you. Why are you doing this?" "'Cause I can." The demon Naruto replied before slicing Iruka's throat wide open with its tiny claws. The demon Naruto laughed as he licked his claws. No. Naruto ran to the fallen body. His eyes stared into the dead eyes of the only one whom he thought was his father and the only one who loved him. Naruto saw the look of unconditional love still on father's face. Even as he died he still loved him. Daddy, 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 I so we, I so we, I so we, daddy I so we, ISOWWY. Sasuke couldn't take any more of this hell. He was about to go over and comfort the chibi but was held back by Itachi. Before he could ask why, young Itachi phased into the genjutsu. They watched him run over to the crying screaming chibi and released him from the jutsu. At that time older Itachi ended his own jutsu. The world around them hazed until phased into complete darkness. Sasuke woke from the jutsu to find his face wet with tears and his brother in deep sorrow and anger at the man that they had once called father. Sasuke knew the man could be cruel, but what he just saw was monstrous. Fugaku Uchiha had accused his sweet innocent and lovable Dobi of being a demon when he in fact was the monster. After he returned to compound he erased your memory of that day in Naruto. You were forbidden to leave the compound without him or mother to watch you. He never trusted me with your care after that. It was a week before I saw Naruto again, and even though he was smiling he wasn't the same after that. The little sunspot got over it eventually, but I think it might have been Kyuubi repressing the memory. I have never hated him as much as I do now. Hissed Sasuke. His Sharingan was spinning wildly. Naruto will never come near me out of fear for that man. How am I going to get him to trust me if he thinks I am that man? I don't know, Otuto. The only way for him to remember you is either find a cure or wait for him to grow up again, because he is too traumatized to use the Sharingan on him again. I can't wait that long. The Kyuubi did say there might be someone that could help named Kurai. Sukora, have you heard of her? Oh yes, Oto, I have. I even met her once. Itachi chuckled as he got up from his meditation mat and walked over to the couch where he had placed his cloak. If she didn't have green eyes she could pass as our sister. Our sister? Sasuke jumped up from his mat and ran to where Itachi was putting on his cloak. Yes, she is as arrogant, prideful and powerful as either of us and a genius. She is strong, trains as much as we do if not more, and the only one to make a crack in Sukora's icy shell is our own little sunspot. Itachi smirked, then in a rare show of affection he touched his forehead to his brother's. I have to go or Kisame will start panicking. Take care Oto and take care of our chibi sunspot. Cuz without him our world is a cold dark place. I will Aniki, I promise. And in a whirl of leaves Sasuke was left alone once again. Iruka and Kakashi watched a sleeping Naruto with a sleeping Oshi curled on the rug beside the bed and two goldfish swimming in the bowl Kakashi one on the nightstand. They smiled as they backed out of the room, quietly closing the door behind them. Despite the trip to the hospital that morning, it had been a perfect day. They hadn't seen Naruto this happy since he passed the Genin exam and found out Kakashi was his Jonin leader. I still can't believe he got 2 fish in 1 scoop. I told you he was determined to win. And you won a beautiful bowl koi. Sensei, you make me blush. Kakashi flirted as he held his husband tight from behind and nuzzled the Chunin's neck. Kashi, I'm so happy right now. I have you and we have Naruto home with us. I don't think I can be any happier. Then why do you sound so sad, my dolphin? Because we can only keep him for a week and this dream will end. The Jonin turned the Chunin in his arms so that they were face to face before pulling down his mask. Listen Iruka, because I am going to say this once. I know it hurt you when Naruto moved out, but that didn't mean he stopped loving you. In everything and every way, but blood, he is your son and he always will be. No matter where he goes or how old he is, he will always love you. Yes, we only have this week with him and we are going to make it the best week ever as a family. I won't let you dwell on his leaving. We are going to enjoy the time we have now. Okay? And don't worry so much, we will see him in the village with the others, and as long as Anko doesn't babysit him again he'll live through this second childhood and the separation time. You're right Kashi. I promise no more gloomy thoughts. We will enjoy our time with our son. And it was your idea to let Anko babysit him the first time around, so don't blame me for that. I spent at least 100 yen spackling and painting the walls because she thought it was a good idea to teach a 3-year-old how to throw shurikens. Oh, I forgot about that. I was thinking about the time you were on a mission and I had to go to Anbu meeting. I asked her to watch him at my apartment and she set my kitchen on fire. What? Shish, you'll wake the chibi. She was trying to make him some ramen but the stove wouldn't light. I don't want to know how she tried to light it. New house rule. Anko is not allowed to watch Naruto ever. Even when he is returned to normal, I don't want her near my baby. Okay, my dolphin, whatever you say. Now it's time for bed. Naruto wasn't the only one who had a long day. As if on cue, Uruka yawned. Yes, we are all tired and we have another big day tomorrow. But as long as I can sleep in your arms I will be well rested for tomorrow. Ah, only sleep? The pouting Kakashi whined. Arrow, yes, only sleep. The teacher laughed as he led his husband to their room and to the bed where they cuddled together like cats. Then he kissed the unmasked cheek and said, I love you, Koi. Before drifting off to sleep. I love you to my wonderful Uruka. We will have a wonderful week with Naruto, I promise. I've run every test I could think of, there is nothing else I can do. All tests show he's a healthy 5-year-old boy, nothing more. Then what is to happen, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked as she also scanned the reports on Naruto's condition. I'm going to have to contact Yorugakure and ask them to lend us Kurai, Sukora. That's in Moon Country. They are more hidden than any other shinobi village. How did Naruto meet her? It was one of Jiraiya's research trips. Yorugakure is also renowned for their volcanic hot springs, so of course the pervert had to go check out the onsen. He also got caught and had to suffer a mild poisoning for his troubles. From what he has told me, the girl is their best ninja and it is not likely that they will loan her out for such a long mission. Well, we could lend them Guy Senpai in her place. Shizune, we are trying to get help from a village of eternal darkness and you want to send Guy and his eternal youth to them. You might as well send a declaration of war. Right. The young assistant's sweat dropped. I'll send a letter asking first, and if they say no maybe they will be willing to negotiate. Tsunade said as she took out a blank scroll. Shizune, Anbu files are supposed to be kept locked in the vault, why is that one out? Oh, I was updating the files and I was just checking the status. Tsunade watched the blush spread on the medic Nin's cheeks. That file is active but you don't have clearance. Only his training captain, contact, or I are allowed to update that file. Gomen Tsunade-sama, I can't tell you anything about the case but I can tell you that you were right in your instincts about him. He isn't all as he appears to be. Tsunade took the file labeled Uchiha, Itachi and placed back in the open safe. I'm glad. Maybe someday he'll come home. Shizune said softly. I have no doubt he will. When he does I'm sure you'll be one of the first to greet him. Tsunade smiled at her blushing assistant before returning to her desk. They had once encountered Itachi shortly after he had joined the Akatsuki. They had been in a village that the Akatsuki attacked and Shizune had seen him save a little girl that had fallen in stampede. Before he could set her free he was caught, but another member he hid the child in his robes and told the member that the ally was cleared. After the member had left he let the girl go after erasing his memory of him. Since then Shizune had been intrigued by the young boy she saw and wanted to know him more. Hi Tsunade-sama. I've headed up to here with that girl. Manjetsukage-sama, Sukora-san is our best shinobi. She might be the best shinobi but she is the worst niece. She is the most infuriating girl in the entire village. Why couldn't she be like her sisters? Even her brothers are more friendly and open than she is. Of all 13 children she is the only one to inherit her father's stoic attitude as well as his mirror image. The leader of the Yuru stared out into the darkness of the village. Yorugakure was a hidden village inside a volcano. It was the activeness of the volcano's smoke kept Moon Country in eternal night. The Shadowlands was the large forest surrounding the volcano. The tree leaves were so thick that they blocked out what little sun was able to filter through the smoke. They had survived for centuries in the clouds of darkness and they had grown into a wealthy nation. Most of their prosperity was due to his niece's medical advances in her healing potions. I agree that Sukora-san can be difficult at times but she has done many great things for Yuru. You should feel proud of your niece. I am proud of her but it is time she settles down. She helped train the students after the war with Rock Country as well as improved the healthcare of the village with her potions. We now have smarter and stronger shinobi and her potions are the most sought out in all of the nations but she needs someone to stable her. She has grown callous, prideful. I got a report from her brother Kesho. It said that although the men in this village think she is beautiful they would rather go after missing nins than date her. He freezes them out and her strength scars them. Kazuma-sama, what about that boy that was here a few years ago? Uzumaki-san, he made her smile once, maybe he would like to visit her. No, she made it clear that she cared for him only as a brother. She said he was looking for his precious person and he would stop till he brought him home. The aging Cage turned away from the window and back to his desk. No, I fear he is not an option. Maybe I should send her out to other villages that need her skills. Maybe she'll loosen up. And find a husband? Said a cold voice from the door. Yes, and find a husband? Kazuma jumped back to see said niece leaning against the door from with an unreadable expression and her emerald eyes hidden behind dark glasses. Sukora, what are you doing here? You forgot your blood pressure potions. I see you are trying to marry me off again, she stated as she stalked up to desk, placing the vials in front of her uncle. Sukora, you are going to be 20 years old. It is long past time you married. All of your sisters and even your brothers are married and settled. Yes, I have the nephews and nieces to prove how settled they are. You won't have to worry about the low birth rate in Yuru. The Kurai have it covered. They don't need any help from me. I am a ninja, not a breeding mare. Damn it, Sukora. I know you are a ninja, you're one of my best, but there is more to life than your next potion or kill. Your parents wouldn't want. My parents are dead, Sukora snapped. They have had this argument over and over since she was 16. I will live how I choose. I am no longer a child. Monjet Tsukage, if that is all, I will be going. I'm late for training. You're dismissed. Kazuma sighed in defeat. He sadly watched her leave the office. He didn't even notice the messenger bird till it began pecking at papers on his desk. What have you got for me? It's from the Leaf Village. Kazuma-sama? Keiko, I found a solution. It seems they need Sukora's potions and are willing to send an escort for her. How is that a solution? I'll ask the Hokage to send 3 of her best single shinobi. One of them is bound to catch her attention. Kazuma smiled happily as he wrote a response. Or she'll flay you alive when she figures out that you are trying to set her up on this mission. His assistant muttered, Where we going, Ruka? I thought I would take you to where I work. During the summer I do double shifts at the missions room. Kakashi has training with his team and I don't want you to get hit by a stray kunai. Okay. Naruto smiled happily as he once again was riding Oshi through the village to the Hokage Tower. Well, here we are. Iruka smiled as they entered the busy missions office. Oh, Iruka. The academy teacher jumped as a dark blonde elite Jonin came running toward them. Hi Genma. Oh, so it's true Naruto is a chibi again. Oh, he's so cute, just like I remember. Hi, Auntie Genma. Naruto waved. Auntie Genma? Iruka's eyebrow rose in question. Well, you see, when Rado and I babysat him he caught us kissing and he told us boys only kissed girls. Well, Rado said we loved each other and that's why we kissed. So Naruto asked which one of us was the girl. And I told me to call me Uncle Rado and him Auntie Genma. Rado walked up behind his nervous lover. I figured it was the best way to explain it without going into the gay birds and bees. I guess you're right. Iruka smiled. Lucky for me he hasn't asked that about me and Kakashi. Hey Auntie Genma, I can unwalk most of the house walks with the senbon you gave me. Naruto beamed and Genma dropped the senbon he had in his mouth. He gave you a senbon and taught you to pick locks? Iruka looked down at his son in surprise. Aha, and Uncle Radio showed me how to aim my kunai while blindfolded. He did? Iruka was now smiling at the 2 Jonin. They started to get nervous as they felt the killing aura surround the smiling Chunin. What else did they teach you? To be paw-paired and carry wood for quickies. The chibi smiled brightly and the 2 Jonin were looking like he just signed their death warrants. I see. Why don't you and Oshi go sit at my desk while I have a word with your auntie and uncle? Oshi made a quick getaway from the potential bloodshed. There was a brief spike in chakra and the former aunt and uncle were gone, having been thrown out the window by the overprotective father. That is the last time they ever babysit. Iruka muttered as joined Naruto at his desk. The rest of the morning went smooth. Naruto sat on the desk and Iruka gave him the mission scrolls to hand to the waiting shinobi. Tsunade came out of her office briefly to see how her little Gaki was doing and give him a hug and slip him some candy while Iruka wasn't looking. The ninjas coming and going all cooed over the chibi handing out missions and Naruto beamed under the attention. All was going well till that afternoon when Anko! Naruto shouted as he jumped into the snake Jonin's arms. Hey Foxy, I see the rumors are true, you're pint size again. Here, have a dango. Yummy. Are we going blow up Kashi's house again? Anko's eyes widened at the sight of Iruka's glare. No Foxy, not this time. I just came by to turn in my reports. Then Ibiki and I have to get ready for the T&I class. Ibiki! Naruto shouted. Someone call my name? The master interrogator appeared next to Anko just in time to catch the flying chibi. Ibiki, can I go question bad ninjas again? Well, I don't think so. There were few things Ibiki was afraid of, and a pissed of Haruka just shot up to the top of the list. Ibiki-san, when did you ever babysit Naruto? And why the hell did you take him to an interrogation? Well, you see, Izumo was watching Naruto, but Genma was playing around the office bragging about his accuracy skills and accidentally hit him with one of his milder poison senbons and had to go to the hospital. The Chunin in question winced at the memory while said Jonin hid out of sight, not wanting to be thrown out the window again. I don't know how, but the little firecracker got passed around till he landed in my office. There was no one else to watch him, trust me, I tried. I took him to the Anbu training ground to try and wear him out. He ended up wearing out 6 of my best Anbu. After that I left him in the observation room with some ramen while I took care of a suspect. Well, he's a fast eater. He came into the room and in less than 10 minutes he cracked the guy wide open. Ibiki explained, and being a smart shinobi he decided not to tell Haruka about the other times he borrowed Naruto from Kakashi for interrogations. Ruka, it was cool. I learned how to tie knots that even Kashi can't break. Well, that explained how he found Naruto sitting on the table with a pint of ice cream and Kakashi all tied up in the corner. Ibiki said next time he show me how to use burning tags. That's it. Tsunade-sama, I'm leaving. Haruka grabbed Naruto from the master interrogator's arms. None of you are ever allowed to watch my son again, let alone come within 10 feet of him. The academy teacher stormed out of the office with Oshi at his heels, ranting about insane ninjas and trustworthy babysitters. You think we should tell him about all the extra training sessions we gave Naruto? Katetsu asked the quiet mission room. Not if we want to live, exclaimed Izumo. Something tells me the genin will be on vacation for a while. Tsunade said as she came out of her office. You know, Haruka is the one who is mostly in charge of mission assignments. I believe all of you are going to be doing D ranks till his temper runs out. With that said, the whole room groaned in misery because Amino, Haruka's temper could last from weeks to months depending on how badly you pissed him off. Haruka and Kakashi did their best to spoil their son in the week they had him. They took him to movies and on picnics. They bought him toys to play with, and Kakashi would give the Naruto candy while his husband wasn't looking, or so he thought. Oshi was having a ball enjoying Naruto's puppy years. He would chase Naruto in the woods surround their home, and they would splash and swim in the pool beneath the waterfall that was near their home. The week ended all too quickly for the Hitaki family. Despite the mission room confessions and Kakashi's training sessions where he taught Naruto the best way to dodge fire attacks by using Kaden Ryuka no Jutsu, this earned Kakashi a night on the couch. They had the perfect week as a family. Now they were walking back to Hokage Tower where Naruto would be taken to his next guardian. Ma, Chibi Kitsune, there's no need to look so sad. Everything will be fine. But Kashi, sacred. Ever been gone from home before. It's okay to be frightened. Haruka smiled gently. But you don't have to be because they're your friends. I don't remember them. I try, but it hup with there's my head. Am I really a GWOWN up? Yes, you were, but now you're back to your chibi self. Things changed after you became a genin. You made good friends and they care about you just like me and Kakashi. Okay, but why do I have to go WITF them? Don't you want me anymore? Oh, my chibi Kitsune. Haruka pulled his son into his arms and gave him a big loving hug. I will always want you with me and in my life, but there are some bad ninjas out there that want to take you away from us and the village. This is the best way to keep you safe. We love you and we will see you in the village or at Ichiraku's for ramen. Okay, Ruka, but I'm gonna miss you. The chibi wrapped his little arms around the Chunin's neck and gave him a hug. Hey, what about me? Pouted the copy ninja. I miss you too, Kashi, giggled Naruto. Oshi, you miss me? Nope. The chibi Kitsune face fell when he heard this. I'm going with you. You are? Naruto's smile was brighter than the sun and his eyes were shining with happiness. You are? Haruka and Kakashi asked. Oshi was a summons and Kakashi was his master. It was not like Oshi to do things without orders or willingly leave Kakashi's side for another master. I said before, where the pup goes I go. We haven't got any missions, and even if we did, you always call my snot-nosed whiny little brother anyways. Just then Pakun popped up beside him. I heard that. Who are you calling whiny? The pug shouted at the bulldog. You, that's Pooh. And with one swift kick with his chakra-filled hind leg, Pakun went flying into the forest. That punk, Mom should have stopped at 7 pups. He muttered under his breath before turning back to Iruka and Kakashi. Look, you said yourself the pup is in danger, he needs constant protection. Well, I can protect him, I'm the strongest of the pack and I track just as good as the whiny runt. I'm staying with him because I don't trust any of those pups to look after our pup. He's got a point, Iruka, and I know you've been worrying non-stop about Naruto going away. This is the perfect solution because if he does manage to escape his babysitters, which we know he will, Oshi will be right there with him watching out for him. Thank you, Oshi. I'll feel better know you're guarding our chibi. Iruka smiled, placing Naruto on the giant bulldog's back. Yay, Oshi gets to go WITF me. Now let's hurry, Tsunade-sama is waiting for us. The Chunin smiled and the family was on their way back to Hokage Tower. Pakun managed to catch up to them and started yelling at his older sibling about respect of rank, and Oshi's response was to hit him so hard that he was sent back to the pack. Naruto was in a fit of giggles over it, but all laughter and smiling stopped once he reached the Hokage office door. Go on and the Godem is waiting for you. Shizune smiled as she held the door open for the Hitaki family. Good, you are all here. So Naruto, are you ready for your next adventure? Tsunade smiled at the chibi riding the massive Ninken. She and Gaara had been talking about the potion expert and which team should be sent to retrieve the Yuru shinobi as they waited for the chibi. Yeah, because Oshi is gonna WITF me. He is? Well then you both are going to have tons of fun at the Deer Sanctuary. Naruto was startled by the new voice that just came in. He turned to see a tall blonde girl in a black kimono-like dress with 4 ponytails and a Hite 8 with an hourglass on it. He didn't know where she came from, but she looked pretty and was nice to him, so he liked her. The guy who walked in with her was tall, dressed as a jonin, and had his hair up in a spiky ponytail and didn't say much, but he seemed familiar. Hello, I'm Naruto. I'm Temari, Gaara's big sister. Temari smiled gently. Really? Naruto tilted his head to the side, looking like a little fox. He was so cute everyone wanted to hug him. Then the chibi turned to Gaara and smiled, but there was a hint of sadness to his eyes. You really lucky, Gaara. I am lucky. Gaara understood what his chibi brother was saying. Naruto had no one to share his pain, no siblings, no really family other than Iruka. Gaara himself was not allowed to see his family till he was 10, and even then they were forbidden to interact with him outside missions. Their father fueled the demon inside his son with hate and loneliness. It wasn't until after his death that Gaara and his brother and sister could finally be free to be a family. He thanked Kami every day for the love of his brother and sister. Temari can be your sister too if you want her to be. I warn you though, she is very bossy. The room was in shock. It was the first joke Gaara had ever made, and he said it with a deadpan face. Naruto giggled and the smile banished the sadness from his eyes. Hey, Temari was the first to come out of the shock as her mind caught up with the insult. I am not bossy. I'm a great sister, and I'll be a great sister for Naruchibi. Troublesome. Shikamaru smirked. He was nervous about having Naruto as a chibi. He was okay with kids as he had taught at the academy, and he would watch little Yahiko, his late sensei's son, for Kurenai. But Naruto was a whole different matter. Naruto was a child with an abusive past, and his trust of everything and everyone was fragile. Out of the corner of his eye he could see Ruka-sensei smiled, trying to hide his anxiety over leaving his son in the care of another. He didn't blame him from the report they were given not too long ago. Naruto had a number of babysitters, and all of them taught the chibi deadly and useful skills. After the mission room incident, Tsunade had everyone who had ever watched the Kyuubi container fill out a report on their experience and what they taught the Kitsune child. The list was endless. The report took up 2 folders. There was nothing in either folder about ever playing kid games or reading stories to Naruto. Shikamaru mentally filed all the information away for later. This was going to be a long week, and he would do his best to make sure Naruto had a happy second childhood, even if he had to have the bossy, troublesome woman around. Shut up, lazy cry baby. Temari glared as she lifted the chibi into her arms. Don't worry, Ruka-sensei. Kakashi-sensei, I will take very good care of Naruto. The Sand Kunoichi bowed to the Hitaki family before leaving the office with Oshi hot on her heels. Troublesome woman, Shikamaru muttered, then he turned to his former academy teacher. Don't worry, Ruka-sensei, we'll take good care of him. He is one of my best friends. This will be a good chance get to know the Naruto we missed. My mother is looking forward to seeing him again. I bet she is. Iruka smiled. She made it her mission to stuff Naruto full of baked goods whenever he went to your parents' house. That would explain why she has baking for the last 2 days, because my dad and I are not big sweet eaters. Hey, lazy cry bay. Are you coming or what? She sounds just like my mother. Don't worry sensei, Naruto will be fine and meet you for ramen later. Shikamaru bowed and lazy strolled out the door. You know Naruto can walk. Shikamaru complained. The fan wielder had not let go of Chibi Naruto since they left the Hokage's office. They had spent the morning in the village. Naruto was quiet at first. He wasn't used to being with anyone other than his adoptive parents. Soon he started opening up more as they went along through the farmer's market. In a small village, rumors spread fast and they all knew of Naruto's transformation. Shikamaru noticed there were hateful glares directed at Naruto, mostly from the elder villagers. One was even so bold as to call him a monster right in front of Temari. Shikamaru had to stop her from reaching for her fan with his shadow jutsu and march them out of town. What Naruto said next surprised the hell out of them. I'm sorry. V-wires hate me cause of Q. It's okay, I used to it. No child should be used to that kind of treatment, let alone apologize for it. There was nothing they could say or do but be there for their friend. Shortly after they left the inner village, the chibi fell asleep and Temari held him closer. I know, but he is so cute. I never got to see Gaara this young. Father kept me and Kankuro from Gaara when he was born. We didn't meet him until he became a genin. Seeing Naruto like this, it has made me see what it must have been like for him growing up. He's just a child, yet he understands their hate and he is so lonely it breaks my heart. I met Naruto when we started the academy. I thought he was a happy fool with a mouth full of empty dreams. I never would have thought he had such a miserable life. He was so troublesome, pulling pranks, trying to grab anyone's attention just for a moment, even if it got him in trouble with Iruka-sensei. His behavior was never logical, but now I understand emotions were never meant to be logical. All he really wanted was to be noticed and liked. With those heavy thoughts weighing on their minds, they walked in silence to the deer sanctuary. It was lunchtime when they reached the main house. The smell of sugar and spice was thick in the air. All the young deer were hanging around the kitchen window. Shikamaru's posture slumped a little more the closer he got to his parents' house. Naruto's only staying a week. How much sugar does she think he can eat? Naruto is going to look like that round friend of yours by the end of the week. The sand Jonin snickered. Mom, we're... Shikamaru said as he raised his hand to knock. Shikaku, they're here. Get off your lazy ass and get the door. Yoshino's yell woke up Naruto and scared Oshi and startled Temari. Shikamaru seemed unfazed by the yelling. Yes dear. Shikaku opened the door, letting in the kids and dog in. Welcome, it's good to see you all again. Thank you for letting us stay with you, Nara-sama. Temari bowed as she set Naruto down. Surprisingly, the chibi bowed as well. Thank you for having me, Hugh Nawa-sama. You both are always welcome here. It's been a while. Naruto, do you still like to play Go? Hi. The chibi smiled brightly. Shikaku, stop hogging Naruto-kun. Shikaku was pushed out of the way and into the wall by his lovely wife of 25 years. Naruto was scooped up and carried off to the kitchen with Oshi trotting after them. Yoshino didn't even give a glance at her son or their other guests. She was solely focused on the Kyuubi container in her arms. Oh Naruto-kun, you're still just as cute as I remember, but still way too thin. Come, I have some cookies fresh out of the oven just for you. Well, you might as well sit and make yourselves at home. She'll be keeping him in there a while. Dad, since we got the time, there are a few questions I have to ask you and I need to know the answers. The young Nara had a look in his eye that said he was not taking no for an answer. I see. Let's go outside then. The three walked out into the back of the house where the deer roamed free, while all those not hanging around the window were. So what is it you wish to know? How is it that you have known one of my best friends longer than I have? Ah, I figured you would ask me this sooner or later. I had thought you would have asked when he first turned into a chibi. Faye, too troublesome. I knew we would be here soon, so I waited. Everything is too troublesome for you at this rate. Yoshino will never have the grandchildren she wants so badly. Ignoring his son's blushing and the fan wielder's giggle, he continued. I met Naruto-kun when he was 4 years old. He was delivering his flowers to the Yamanaka flower shop. He had placed the flowers in the bucket of water on the stand and scribbled a number on a piece of paper and stuck it to the door before running off again. I was curious, so I took the paper off the door and went inside and asked Inoichi about it. Flashback. Hey Inoichi, this was left on your door by a blonde kid. Oh, that was Naruto. The blonde shinobi smiled at his former teammate. He picks wild flowers and sells them here. Young Iruka asked us if he could hold a stand here. Money is tight with the villagers going to the Hokage blaming Naruto for impossible disasters and demanding they be compensated for it. Most of these claims have no merit, but some manage to slip though, and the compensation comes out of Iruka's pocket. They don't get much for the flowers, but it helps. Plus Iruka has too much pride to ask for help, so we keep the stand open. Sometimes we pay Naruto to water the potted plants, it keeps him happy and busy. I see. From what I hear, he gets into a lot of mischief around the village. Only half of what you hear is true, the other half is the villagers. He really is a nice kid and he loves Iruka-san to death. You know, I think I have a job or two that he can help me with. That would be great, my old friend. Come back at 2 and I'll introduce you. He really is a smart child. Iruka has taught him well so far, even with his limited education. End flashback. He told me of how the villagers were draining Iruka of their money and how Naruto was trying to help pay the bills. I decided to help by giving him a job, and I indirectly helped him with his reading skills. I sent him to the library, then I would have him read them to me. At first it was small books, children's books, just to get him familiar with words and reading, and as he reading improved I sent to get harder books and then eventually scroll and tomes. He was well informed by the time you boys were ready for the academy. I was surprised when you came home at the end of your first week of school and told us that Naruto had failed in the basic knowledge quiz. When he came by for one final visit I asked him why. He told me that if he looked smart the villagers would fear him. Thank you for helping me, Nara-sama, but I can't be more than what the villagers expect right now. They know what's inside me and they fear it getting out. If I show that I am more than an idiot with no hope of succeeding, then they will go to the Hokage and take me away from Iruka-sensei. I was saddened by this, but I understood. Fugaku had made it his mission to make the boy's life hell since he could not get Naruto's death. Why didn't you ever tell me about this? You never ask, and I'm sure Naruto's pride wouldn't let him talk about his hardships. The answer was logical yet annoying for the young Shadow Master, but he let it slide. It was too troublesome to make a fuss. Why is mom so obsessed with spoiling him? Your mother always wanted more children, but after you her body couldn't handle it. That and you gave her quite a scare with your laziness. It seems breathing was too troublesome and you refused to breathe when you came out. The healers had to resuscitate you to get you going. Anyways, I told her about what was happening with the Amino Uzumaki family and she was livid. She was ready to go tear the villagers apart. I stopped her before she made it out the door, then I calmly explained about helping them. She was behind the idea 100%. When Naruto-kun started coming over, she would always have some food for him to eat or take home to Iruka-san. He was always cheerful, always said thank you. Even when he was full, he would go on eating to make your mother happy. Then we should go back inside. Tamari reasonably, and they began to head back to the house. Otherwise Naruto will get a belly ACH and will have to roll his ninkin out of the kitchen. Troublesome. Shikamaru and Shikaku managed to convince Yoshino to stop stuffing the chibi at least until tomorrow, and all was quiet for the rest of the evening. Then it was time to get ready for bed. The question was who was going to give the chibi his bath. You both should give him a bath. He is your charge, you have to take care of him. Shikaku said casually as he and Yoshino cleared the dinner table. It okay, I can do myself. No, Naruto-kun, you are a little boy and it's the grown-up's job to take care of you. Besides, Shika could use the practice in case he ever decides to give me grandchildren. Yoshino smiled before glaring at her son. Now go to the bathhouse with Shika and Tamari-san will bring you your night clothes when you're done. Shikamaru muttered under his breath as he led his pint-sized friend to the bathhouse. Once there he striped off his shirt because it would be too troublesome to get it wet, then proceeded to get Naruto ready for his bath, just like he'd done many times for Yahiko. Oshi waited outside because as much as he liked to swim and play with the pup, there was no way he was taking a bath and have itchy soap put into his fur. I so we I too bleem. Naruto said softly as the older boy washed his hair. You're not troublesome, Naruto. Truth is you are a special friend, but I am lazy, so that makes everything seem troublesome. I'm sorry, I'm a bad guardian. The Shadow Nin said gently, trying to soothe the hurt he made on the child's fragile heart. You not bad, you nice. You know what? Naruto whispered as if he wanted to share the secret of a lifetime. What? Shikamaru smirked at the serious expression on the chibi's face. I see a lazy boy sometimes. He looks at CWOUDS in Daisy Fields. Really? Shikamaru stopped rinsing Naruto's hair and looked at the chibi. Why didn't you say hi to him? He was happy. If I say hi, he run away. You don't know that. Yes I do. Viwa hairs tell kids to not pee-way with me. The boy was happy. I don't want him sad. The Jonin finished washing the soap off of Naruto before placing him in the hot bath. That was just like Naruto, always thinking of others' happiness before his own. Naruto, I think the boy would have been happy if you had said hi to him. He may have called you bothersome, but deep down he would have liked the company. Shikamaru smiled softly. He didn't know that Temari was outside the bathhouse listening to every word. Shikamaru was a mystery to the Sand Kunoichi and always has been. Since the day they met in battle, he had sparked her curiosity. He was lazy yet brilliant, he was selfish yet selfless. Nara, Shikamaru was a walking contradiction, and he frustrated her, yet he made her like him to the point of loving him. She had been in serious denial over the years, not knowing that every trip she made to Konoha made her feelings grow. Now hearing him with Naruto was like reality, slapping her in the face. She loved the lazy Shadow Master with all her heart. What to do with these feelings she didn't know. She would just have to wait and see. She could now hear the splashing of the water. It seemed like a water fight had started. Good thing he thought ahead to bring extra towels. Putting a smile on her face and her heart on the back burner, she entered the bathhouse to find Naruto giggling, splashing Shikamaru, who was laughing on the floor, spraying the shower hose at the chibi in the tub. She watched as Naruto dove under the water with something, then popped up, dumping a bucket of water on the fallen ninja. She had never seen anyone look as a half-naked Shikamaru playing an innocent child's game. Despite being a lazy bum, the Leaf Jonin was sporting a very tight washboard abs, and they shined under the water and light. She had to take a couple of deep breaths to get her body under control and hold back from jumping him in front of 5-year-old child. And the winner is the great Naruto. Temari shouted and giggled. Yay, I the winner. Yes, you win now, time to get out, it's late and all little shinobi should be in bed. Shikamaru said as he stood and fetched the chibi out of the water. Temari quickly wrapped him in a towel to prevent a chill and tossed the spare the drenched Shadow Master. I'll take him and get him ready for bed, you can clean up your battlefield. Good, then you can tell him a bedtime story. A what? A story? The Shadow Master smirked as he toweled of his face and hair. Naruto has never had a story before. So since you're Temari Ne-chan, now you can be the one to tell him a story. Yay, I get a story from Ne-chan. Alright, we'll leave the lazy cry baby here to clean up, and I'll tell you a story about the first Chunin exam battle I won. The fan wielder smiled as Shikamaru gaped at the retreating figure. Of all the stories she could tell, she had to pick that one. Tuesday. The sun was up, the birds were singing, and the deer were once again gathered around the kitchen window begging like puppies for handouts. Yoshino had Naruto up at the table eating his third helping of pancakes, and Shikaku had just come in from filling the deer feeder. I don't know why I fill the feeders since all of the young ones are around the window begging for sweets. Well, they can beg all they want. They are not getting any, these are Naruto-kun's sweets. Shikamaru sighed as he listened to the voices coming from the kitchen. Naruto was safe with his parents, so there was no reason to get up right now. So he laid back in his bed and thought about what he had heard last night. He had come in from cleaning the bathhouse and he could hear Temari's soft laughter and Naruto's squeals of excitement down the hall welcoming him home. He stood by the open door and listened to them talk. There was a warm feeling spreading in his chest. Is this what his dad felt when he would listen to his mother and him at bedtime? He continued to listen to the two that were lost in the world of the Chunin exams. Flashback. Shika Ni-chan was so cool. Yes, he was. He is brilliant, he had planned out my every move and you helped him beat me. I did? Shikamaru smirked as he could see the chibi's eyes widen in wonder. The tunnel you made to defeat Hyuga. Neji gave him the extra shadow he needed to trap me. I was so mad at him that he had tricked me, but at the same time I thought he was really clever. While I was still trapped in the shadow jutsu, he walked us to the center of the arena and he raised our arms, and then what, Ne-chan? Naruto was gripping his scarecrow tightly with anticipation. He quit. What? Why? Because it was too troublesome. The kunoichi giggled. He had another 200 moves planned out but limited chakra left, plus he really wasn't interested in being a Chunin, so in the end I won that round. But it didn't feel like I had won, it felt like I had lost more than the battle. I lost my confidence and I began to realize there are shinobi that are smarter and better than me, and it gave me something to work and train for. So Nei-chan won? Yes and no. I won the battle but I lost because it wasn't fair. I didn't make Chunin, but your lazy Nei-chan became the first rookie Chunin. Wow, now it's time for all little shinobi to go to bed. Ninkin too. Oshi jumped on the bed and made himself comfortable. Tamari smiled as she tucked the chibi in, giving his a quick kiss on the forehead before turning out the light. Shikamaru left before she ever knew he was there. End flashback. Shikamaru smiled softly at the memory, then frowned at the thought of this only being temporary. Tamari was troublesome, but she was also strong and smart as well as beautiful. He knew he had loved her for a long time, but he had never told her. She would probably laugh in his face to see him so scared of rejection, but it was the truth. He couldn't stand the thought of her rejecting him, but he was going to enjoy his time with his troublesome woman, and that would be enough. Time to start another troublesome day. Shikamaru thought and hauled himself out of bed. I win, Nawa-sama. So you seem to have gotten better since the last time we played. Shikaku chuckled as he recorded the game. I didn't know Naruto knew how to play Go. Tamari said as she brought in some tea for the Go players. Iruka-san taught him to improve his math skills. Once when Naruto came over, he saw that I had our shogi set out stopped in mid-game. Well, Naruto got excited and wanted to play because he thought it was the same as Go. I told him it wasn't, but I did have a Go set and that we could play after he did his job for me. The older Nara smiled as he watched the chibi munch down the cookies and gulp down his tea. He wasn't the greatest player in the world, but he got better as time went on. But he wasn't near this level playing as he just played. I believe his memories are slowly surfacing. Nei-chan, can we go on a picnic? I don't see why not. Great idea, I just happen to have basket of food ready. Yoshino smiled as she dropped the heavy basket on her son, who had been pretending to sleep on the couch. Oof. Shikamaru had the wind knocked out of him. How much food did she pack? It's lovely weather in the meadow. Yoshino dragged her son from the couch, then pushed him and Tamari out the front door. Naruto and Oshi were already running ahead of them. Once outside, she shouted, "Have fun," and slammed the door. I guess we're going to the meadow. The shadow wielder sighed, ignoring the snickering fan wielder. Nei-chan, hurry! Naruto shouted as he and Oshi ran toward the meadow. There was something about Naruto's smile that always made you smile. But that smile also hid the fact he could be a scheming trickster. Naruto had a long talk with Yoshino that morning about how to get the two Jonin to date. The chibi agreed he wanted Shika Nei-chan and Tamari Nei-chan to be happy even if he didn't know what date meant. If he could help them date to be happy, then he would. He led them to the meadow where he would begin his plan to make them happy. Nei-chan, Ruka said you help Twain. Sure, Naruto the lazy cry-baby will be happy to help you train. Tamari answered before the Jonin could reject the idea. Naruto needs work on his dodging. Oshi gruffed. Fine, let's go. Shikamaru sighed as he gathered his chakra. He figured he could chase him with his shadow possession and he wouldn't have to run around. Don't let my shadow catch you. Ready, go. Kage Shibari no Jutsu. Naruto jumped and ran, channeling his chakra into his feet. He was one step ahead of the shadow and no one saw his smirk as he started running toward Tamari. Shikamaru was focused more on Naruto and his shadow. The sooner he catch the chibi, the sooner he could go cloud watching. Suddenly he felt the connection of shadows. The Jonin smirked and stood up. He with the jutsu locked in place, now he could lie down and watch the clouds without having to chase after the chibi. I got you, Naruto, I win. No you don't. Huh? Suddenly he was tipped over and fell backwards and Tamari fell with him. Hey, genius, you grabbed the wrong shadow. Troublesome. The jutsu is locked for at least 10 minutes. What? I use a type of seal bind that I use for taking prisoners. Hey Nei-chan, what is this? Naruto had taken her huge sensu. No, Naruto, don't play with that. Tamari was up and running after the chibi, dragging Shikamaru with her. Troublesome woman, slow down. The chase went on for an hour. It seemed Shikamaru put a little too much chakra in the bind and was dragged around after the Kyuubi container. That night after Naruto was asleep in bed, the two Jonins collapsed. Iruka sensei was right, Naruto did have a lot of energy as a child. After the game of chase they ate lunch, then Naruto wanted to see the deer. So they had to find the deer, but not just any deer, he wanted to see the stags. So they had to hunt down the stags, which was dangerous because the stags were very territorial. Once they found the young stags, Naruto wanted to ride one. Even though Shikamaru had said no, it was too dangerous, he still ran after one to ride, which he did. Then they had to chase after the bucking stag, trying to retrieve their charge. Then there was another water war at bath time, as well as another ninja tale at bedtime. They were so tired by the end of the day they didn't realize that they fell asleep against one another while sitting on the couch. They didn't even feel it when Yoshino covered them with a blanket and turned out the living room light. Wednesday. The village was quiet as the trio walked down the main street. They were going to meet Iruka and Kakashi-sensei for ramen that afternoon, and Temari dragged them out early so she could do some shopping. After the awkward moment of waking up in the arms of your crush, it was best to occupy your mind with other things. Where shall we go first? I say the park for cloud watching. Shikamaru replied, which earned him a whack on the head. I know I won. Naruto, are you okay? The chibi was smiling and jumping around just a second ago. Now he was in shock. The two Jonin didn't know what to do or what was causing his fright. Oi Dobi. Shikamaru knew there was only one person to ever call Naruto dead last, but the voice didn't match. He turned his head in the direction of the voice and his jaw dropped. There in the middle of the square was Sasuke, a 5-year-old chibi. In a flash Naruto ran and hid behind the sand nen. Temari could feel him shaking as he gripped her dress in order to hide himself more. I not posed to play WITFU. I want to play with you, Dobi. Sasuke walked up to Naruto trying to get him to stop hiding. I not a Dobi. The whiskered shouted-faced chibi as he jumped out from his hiding spot. Yes you are. I want to play Dobi. You dad said I can't. He's not here. I want to play with you, Dobi. We're going to play. Sasuke grabbed the chibi's hand and ran off, dragging Naruto along the way. Sasuke, bring Naruto back. Shaken out of their stupor, the two Jonins ran after two chibis. Sasuke dragged Naruto to a park close to Ichiraku's ramen stand. The played on the slide, chased one another around the jungle gym, and then swung high on the swings. They were having a great time. The Kyuubi container became more relaxed the longer they played. Shikamaru and Temari sat and watched the two run all over. The two chibis were in a world of their own and nothing else mattered. Sasuke was glad his plan was working. He wanted Naruto to trust him, and this was a start. He had been waiting for Naruto to come back to the village so he could set his henge plan into action. Sasuke, you wanted to help me? Help you do what, Naruto? Make Shika ni-chan and Temari ne-chan happy. If they together, then they be happy. The blonde beamed. Sasuke for a long time wondered about Naruto's bad speech and grammar. Now he knew that because he didn't go to school and wasn't around others to improve his speech. He didn't learn how to speak well until the academy, but even as he got older his speech was still appalling. Okay Dobi, I'm in. Naruto, Sasuke, it's time for lunch. Temari called over to them. We coming, ne-chan. Taking the chibi Uchiha by the hand and ran off to the ramen stand. Thursday. Lunch had been a happy affair, even if Iruka was a little shocked to see a chibi Sasuke run up to them hand in hand with their son. Kakashi didn't seem surprised, instead he just smiled behind his mask and ordered some ramen. During lunch Naruto relayed his adventures at the Nara place so far, then he spent the rest of his time whispering ideas with Sasuke. They made plans to meet again the next day and put their matchmaking schemes into action. You want to go to a monster movie? Shikamaru looked at the two chibis disbelievingly. He couldn't believe these two wanted to see a monster film. He knew for a fact that Naruto was afraid of ghosts. I don't think Iruka-sensei would want you to see a horror film. Come on Nara, it's not that scary. The Dobi can handle it. I didn't ask you, Uchiha. Shikamaru glared at the Uchiha turned chibi. He had talked to Sasuke yesterday about his chibi plan. It was a good plan, but it had too many flaws. He didn't think the stoic Uchiha heir would be reliving his childhood along with Naruto, but here they were acting like two little boys excited about seeing the monster movie. Even if the tiny Jonin was only smirking, you could the laughter in his eyes. Please ni-chan. The chibi kitsune pouted. Naruto was so cute and he didn't know it. Shikamaru couldn't fight the feeling of caving in. Troublesome. Fine, but if you have nightmare you wake Temari up, not me. Think again, cry baby. Tamari muttered as she followed the three boys to the theater. Once they were in the darkened room, Naruto took hold of Tamari and Shikamaru's hands. "I don't like the dark. And you wanted to see a monster movie," muttered the lazy nin. They all sat down in the middle row and waited for the movie to start. During the movie, the blood and gore freaked Shikamaru out, making him squeeze the hand he was holding. Tamari on the other hand was bored. The film was a pale comparison to what Gaara had done in his younger years. But she felt bad for Naruto as his hand that kept squeezing her hand to death. Neither Sand nor Leaf Jonin had noticed that Naruto had placed Tamari's hand in Shikamaru's hand. Then he and Sasuke left the movie as soon as it started, with Oshi in favor for ice cream. The two chibis were waiting patiently when his guardians came out of the movies and surprised them by taking their picture. "Naruto, what, Shika ni-chan?" Naruto giggled as he watched Shikamaru drag Tamari over to the waiting chibis. "Have you been out here the whole time?" "Yup, me and Sasuke. I thought you wanted to see the monster movie." "Oh, you right, it scared me. Oshi and Sasuke take me out here and give me ice CWEAM." Naruto said proudly as he waved his dripping cone everywhere. Sasuke on the other hand continued to take pictures. "So Nara, how was your date?" "Date?" Shikamaru looked to a blushing Tamari and then their tightly gripped hands. She wasn't jerking her hand away and she wasn't denying the date. Those smug little brats. Maybe this was his chance to be with his sand princess. He turned back to the two matchmakers but refused to let the hand her held go. "Troublesome, because we didn't have dinner and we have two chibis to look after." "Okay, we go back to Deer House." Naruto beamed as he jumped onto Oshi's back and Sasuke climbed on the huge ninkin as well. Sasuke loved the feel of his chibi-size arms wrapping around his dobi's waist as the road galloped through the village, leaving their guardians behind. Friday. Yoshino was all smiles and Shikaku was happy his wife was happy, because that meant he didn't have to do any of her insane chores. The reason for all the cheerfulness at the Nara Deer Sanctuary was that the Nara heir had finally for his precious person of the heart. Though their behavior hadn't changed much, Yoshino could tell Shikamaru and Tamari seemed to be a little closer. Right now the two Jonins were watching the two chibis play near the deer's drinking pond and were being nuzzled by some of the spotted calves. Tamari sat on the blanket enjoying the breeze while Shikamaru laid back and watched the clouds. He had played Go that morning with Naruto and was impressed with the chibi's skills. Although he didn't win, Shikamaru bet when Naruto was back to normal he could give him a real challenge. Tamari had been impressed by Naruto's determination in their morning training. He refused to be defeated even though he was outclassed by the older girl. He didn't let a little thing like lack of chakra control stop him either. The little ball of sunshine kept attacking and dodging until the battle was called off cause Sasuke came to play. "Hey lazy? Yes, troublesome? Your friend is really great kid." Tamari smiled. "It makes me appreciate him more and also makes me waste energy being upset at his hiding things from me and our friends." "And what would you have done if he had told?" "Nothing, because there wasn't anything you could do. All the things he had suffered as child has made him what he is today. He doesn't want you pity nor to feel shame about his life. He may not have come from a powerful clan, but he did have a small home and a family, and that is what he's most proud of. Don't waste your time dwelling on things you can't change. You know you are more troublesome when you have a point." Shikamaru sighed, not willing to fully say that she was right. Suddenly the sound of laughter was silenced and the two Jonins were on high alert. In a flash they both dodged the incoming kunai with an explosive tag. "Sasuke, get Naruto out of here." Tamari screamed as he was suddenly battle 5 enemy ninjas and Shikamaru was tangled up with 6 other ones. "I don't think so, little man," chuckled the ninja who had grabbed the back of the chibi's shirts. Only to be knocked down by Oshi, who had come flying out of the trees. He grabbed Naruto by the shirt and took off. "No one hurts my dobi and gets away with it." Releasing the henge, the would-be kidnapper was faced with the spinning Sharingan of a full-grown pissed-off Uchiha, Sasuke. It was amazing that he held back as much as he did as 3 more shinobi had jumped out of the woods and attacked the Uchiha heir. Normally he wouldn't have hesitated killing the bastard who dared to mess with his dobi, but since Naruto was a chibi he didn't want the innocent child to witness death. Instead he settled for breaking every bone in their bodies. Tamari had the same idea and let her wind blades cut up the bastards, avoid any main arteries. She wanted them to suffer, not die. Shikamaru took down the rest with his Shadow Shuriken. How troublesome, looks like they are rock nin. Why would they come here? For me. The three Jonin turned to see Naruto walk out of the trees and picked up the sealed scroll. They were hired by feudal lord that wants me dead for exposing his embezzlement of his state's taxes. Naruto, you remember everything? Sasuke ran to the chibi and knelt before him, searching those blue eyes for his dobi. For now I do. But for how long I don't know. Naruto gave a hollow laugh. It seems my present and my past are conflicting. I want to remember and return to my older self, but a part of me is tired of fighting and tired of being afraid. In my younger form, my past is happy with the denial and wants to stay innocent and carefree. This was a time when denial and Iruka's love for me was all I had and needed to survive. It was enough then, but now, my present self can't deny the hurt and the pain and is having problems coping. Kyuubi is trying to help me sort it out, but I wanted to say thank you all for taking care of me. I know I can be a pain in the butt sometimes. You're not a pain, Naruto, you're our friend. Shikamaru reassured the chibi. In fact, Tsunade-sama has sent for Kurai to help cure you. Sukora is coming here? Naruto winced. As if one ice princess wasn't enough to deal with. Oh well, at least she'll make me ramen. Then a dizzy spell overtook the whiskered chibi and he started to sway. Naruto, I'm fine, just fading out for now. Tell Sukora to hurry up and cure me or I'm going to kick her ass. And then he stumbled into darkness, landing in the safety of his Tami's arms. He sat at his desk, hunched over his paperwork, once again cursing the bad lighting. He was going to need glasses by this end of this mission. Not only was there bad lighting, but Toba's writing was atrocious. They were Akatsuki, why the hell did they fill out tax forms? This was one of the many mind-boggling questions that Itachi had come to expect and ignore over the years. Being the youngest member meant it was his responsibility to make sure all the paperwork was done properly. I think they stuck me with the job because I'm the only one who can add and the only one who wouldn't embezzle the funds. The eldest Uchiha growled as he finished with Toba's deductions. Itachi-san? What is it, Kisame? I am busy with the quarter's returns. I got the information you wanted. The Uzumaki has been turned into a child and was attacked last Friday. Damn, the word has spread fast and he'll be in even more danger. Does Pain or Tobi know of this? No, Itachi-san, I came to you first. The shark hybrid said as he sat in the chair across from the Sharingan wielder. Then we'll keep it between us for now. As soon as I'm finished here we will look into it. I'm sure he is well guarded. Itachi-san, Pain-sama's missions have been becoming more and more dangerous. We lost Sasori in the attempt to take that one-tailed raccoon. I do not like these missions, and he has plans to take an 8-tailed beast as well. Yes, he is focused on these demons, but he will never really be able to harness their power without killing himself. Am I a demon? Itachi looked up from his work and looked at his friend. Ever since his transformation, Kisame had been quiet and obedient. He never once questioned his existence or purpose, as with all weapons he lived to kill. Now that the shark nin was questioning what he was, gave Itachi hope that there was humanity still left inside the cold fishy exterior. No, Kisame, you are not a demon. You still human, even if your DNA has been altered. I am human, the blue Akatsuki said, trying to convince himself it was true. Itachi Dana. A blonde blur came running in and launched himself at the Uchiha. What is it, Deidara? Can't you see I'm doing the taxes? But Itachi Dana, I have news of the Kyuubi brat. I know Naruto is a chibi. How did you know? The blonde bomber pouted. Kisame told me. No fair, Kisame-san. Deidara, how did you find out? I just received the news. Kisame growled. I found the letter in your room. I told you to stay out of my room. The shark pulled out his samahata. I'll kill you. No. Deidara hid behind Itachi's chair. Itachi Dana, save me. No, I won't. I am busy. Why were you in Kisami's rooms anyway? Itachi replied before continuing his task of bookkeeping. I wanted to get away from Tobi. Deidara dodged the giant sword and ran to the other side of the room. But it's so boring in Kisami's room that I found his mail to read. And another tuck and roll out of death's way. Die. Eek. UN. The blonde bomber was chased around the Uchiha's office. Out of all the Akatsuki members, Kisame and Deidara were the only ones he could tolerate because they both had a childlike innocence despite their past. They kind of reminded him of Sunspot and was the only reason he put up with the two lunatics, especially Deidara. Since Sasori was killed, the clay master seemed lost and looking for someone to lead him and be strong for him because he had no real self-confidence. Both of you sit down, you are messing up my papers. Itachi glared at the two with his Sharingan activated. In an instant the two were seated quietly in front of his desk. Good, now that I have your attention I can make this brief. Deidara, the news of the Chibi Uzumaki will remain between us. After I have finished with this paperwork, Kisame, and I will check out the rumor, then I will decide what to do from there. Hi. The blonde Akatsuki member squirmed in his chair, which annoyed the Uchiha heir. What is it, Deidara? Itachi, Dana, Pain-sama and Toby have been talking a lot and it is making me nervous. They are always stop if others get too close they hear them. Also Zetsu has been gone for too long and they aren't concerned. That was suspicious. It seems Pain's paranoia was increasing and his trust in Toby was increasing. Both were not a good sign. The missing plant man was another bad sign because he was the only one who could keep Toby in check. Yes, it would seem that his mission was soon coming to an end, but at the same time he had to protect Deidara and Kisame. Deidara would be lost and would die in prison and Kisame would go insane because of the animal DNA. He would be treated no better than Naruto. Itachi-san, I also do not like how they smell. They are not to be trusted. Well then we shall keep an eye on them as well. Meanwhile Deidara, I want you to sneak into Kakuzu's room and find his account book. I need the real books because the bastard gave me a fake one. And Kisame, I want you to go get all of Hidan's charity receipts for the last 3 months. Itachi deactivated his Sharingan and once again focused on the account ledgers in front of him. He didn't notice that Deidara and Kisame both paled before getting up and leaving the room. I don't want to go in Kakuzu's room, he'll rip off my arms that he just sewed back on. The clay master whined as he was leaving. You think that's bad? Hidan will kill me and then pray me to hell. The shark man grumbled. As long as you get me those books and receipts, enjoy your demise. Itachi yelled after them and they proceeded to deduct fertilizer as a business lunch for Zetsu. That's all for now. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments.